If you've ever gone outside and done a rain dance, praying for rain, then you might be my producer. But also go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, because we're back for another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be Wednesday, July 2nd edition. And as a reminder, half day tomorrow, no trading on Friday, and we get the ADP number here today. So should have a pretty busy day. We're going to go ahead and break everything down. We're going to go through the news. We're going to set up some trades, and we might even close some more swings today. So we'll see. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Wednesday, July 2nd begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. And as we barrel closer to the 4th of July long weekend and holiday, we hope that the super hot temperatures abate for those that are still struggling with it, namely my producer. Hope everything is going well. As mentioned, we do have some stuff to go over here today. Hopefully we have some more trades to make here today. Go ahead and say good morning to everybody. Sun-kissed Yogi first this morning. Good morning and welcome back. Charles, good morning. Also, my VWAP question, what's a good number for a VWAP with a $10 stock? What are you guys looking for? So I don't ever think about it like that. There's no specific number that's important to me. Whatever the number is what's important. I suppose what's most important is how far away from that VWAP it is. The farther away that you get, the more likely you are to regress back to the mean. And it's that dynamic that we try and capture by trading with the VWAP or using the VWAP. The other thing is it gives us an idea of support and resistance intraday. And sometimes that stuff changes. Hopefully that helps, Charles. I'm sure we can talk more about VWAP here today. Reaching financial freedom. Good morning. Can we trade today? Yes. You didn't need my permission, but sure. Go ahead. That's what we're going to do. Jane, good morning. It's good to see you again. Mama Bear, good morning, Ryan. Locked and loaded. Indeed. Ready to go. Zach McCracken, good morning. Kayla, good morning. Isaac, good morning. Bernhard, Jonathan, and Dirkus, good morning. Kerching. Good morning. Dave, good morning. It's good to see you again. Big Bees, welcome back. Producer, Make It Rain. Let It Rain, actually, really good Eric Clapton song. Did a version in the 80s that was out of control while he was completely effed out of his mind on multiple drugs, but the song's really good, and you should listen to that. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Dan, good morning. Candy Pierce, good morning. Let's make some money or not lose any. Our goal every day, no matter what, should be to protect your capital. And once we get that goal achieved, then we can start earning some money on top of it. That's what we're going to do here today. Rooster, good morning. Welcome back. JJ, good morning. Welcome back. Terlingua, good morning. Yaso Fine. Good morning. Welcome back. Cam, Bobcat, and Quantum. Good morning. Peter, good morning. Brandy, welcome back. Yassine, welcome back. White Chocolate Mocha, welcome back. He's already making money off that. Amazing. Yassine says the webinar was awesome last night. Thank you. You're welcome. We're going to keep doing those. Tell you what, Tim and Anne Marie are great. Let me ask you, Yassine, did you like the format? We basically talked about the market, developed the thesis, used the scanner in Pro to find stocks that met our criteria, and then layered multiple, if possible, options trades on top of that. Tried to give the viewers a wide range of different ways that you can trade. Let me know if you like that format or how we can make it better. Graf, good morning. Dermal, good morning. Richard Judge, good morning. Delvin, good morning. Gringo, good morning. Morning from Wisconsin. What's the temperature up there? I got to get up to Wisconsin this summer. Got to play some golf up there. Kanan, good morning. Welcome back. And Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start here with the chart for the SPY. Then we'll take a look at the morning update. Then we'll roll through some news. And yes, we have Tim Melvin coming back here this morning. And he teased this morning last night. He said, we're going to pour some gas on the fire. We got some exciting stuff. So we'll see what Tim has in store for us today. He wouldn't tell me last night. He just hinted at it. So my fingers are crossed. Good morning, Midnight, and good morning, Zoo. Welcome. All right, here's the look at the SPY chart. We continue to hold higher here. Yesterday, we did trade up a little. We didn't quite set a new all-time high. We have done that here in the pre-market today. 619.75 is going to be your pre-market, or excuse me, going to be your all-time high. Might not even be on this chart here. But we're still holding above all-time highs. We're kind of trading sideways here. This is actually good. We've had a pretty huge run. Now we recently broke that 613.23. So a little bit of sideways trading, maybe bring some of this RSI in, maybe kind of reset some of that. That should bode well for the next leg higher. As far as key levels go, that 619.75 is going to be a key level here. That's going to be the pre-market all-time high. If we move above that, we should be in breakout territory. If we come back in, the level that I'm really looking for here is going to be 613.23. We could also throw up an honorable mention for the bottom of this candle here from Tuesday, the one yesterday from July 1st. Bottom of this candle here was 615.52. So perhaps that would be another key level. That actually goes back to Monday as well. If you look inside there, it looks like that bottom kind of came at the same spot. So we'll be watching those two levels here today, but we're right by all-time highs. So we're going to have to follow the news flow and also some of the option flow to determine where we're going next year. But looking pretty good. I had joked yesterday that this is the most hated rally of all time. Tim corrected me and cited one from, I think, 2008 or 9 when I was not actively trading. But nonetheless, this is a mega hated rally, and we keep pushing higher. So good to see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the morning update, get you ready for today. Again, taking a look across the board here, futures are somewhat flat. They're showing here as green with the exception of the Qs, which are down 0.12%. S&P futures, although they were higher this morning, have pulled a little bit here. They're up by 0.02%, and the Dow futures here up by 0.12%. So pretty much unchanged. Not a whole lot of action here in the pre-market. We'll see how that changes. The big economic prints for the day that we need to be aware of are going to be the ADP non-farm employment change. That comes at 8:15. We're actually waiting for that in the next 7 minutes or so. And we also get the crude data there at 10:30. So that's pretty much it in terms of the larger economic data here today. We do have some more IPOs here today. Let me know if any of you have been trading some of those IPOs recently. I'd be curious just to know what people think about them. These also not on my radar. I do have a story here about an upcoming IPO. We don't know when yet, but about another one coming up here that I am interested in. It's a company that we use here at BZ. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But IPOs here today, VNME. This is Vendome Acquisition. They also have a unit, but VNME. ORIQ, that's Origin Investment. They also have a unit. EVAC. EVAC, EQV Ventures Acquisition. They also have a unit. All three of these priced at 10. And then we have CV here, Capso Vision. No unit. They priced between 5 and 550. So we'll see where they open here today. Good morning, Austin. Good morning, EKS. Good morning, Tracy and Billy and Russ. ATL Russ, welcome. And cover METC. Okay, let me add that here to the list. That might be on the movers. No. Nonetheless, we will take a look at that. Absolutely. Okay, moving on here. Couple of other things to discuss. First, some initiations here. We had a Carvana, JPM Securities. I know Carvana has kind of been a popular stock amongst the traders here. Short-term swings, options, seems to pay pretty well. They got a market outperformance of $440 price target from JPM. Chime, Compass Point gave a neutral rating here on Chime, and a $33 price target. Current price of Chime here, $32.37, so pretty much right there. Block also got a buy rating from Compass Point. Price target there of 80. Block's price only 68. Ross Stores, that got an upgrade here, a buy rating from Jefferies and a 150 price target, still about $18 away on Ross Stores. And then I think that was it here. Yeah, I guess we could say Energy Fuels here, Triple U. This has really kind of been in one of those themes recently that's been really, really good. Canaccord here giving a buy rating with a $9 price target. Car Gurus got a downgrade. Market performed from JPM, $38 price target. Price is already 33, so I don't really think there's a whole lot there. We discussed some of those upgrades. As far as earnings here today, not a whole lot. We had UNF this morning, FC and NTZ later today. I don't think any of those are going to be terribly important. And then as far as conferences here today, LSCC, Lattice Semiconductor, they've got a number of different things going today and tomorrow. So maybe that will be a stock to watch here today. Okay. Good morning, Maverick. Thinking about it. Buffalo by bicycle. And I think I hit everybody. Great to see everybody back here today. All right, let's talk about some news here before we get to Tim Melvin. I'm going to give you a really brief market overview here. U.S. stocks likely to open higher. We kind of discussed that they've pulled back a little bit off their pre-market highs, but still hanging out around unchanged here. After the NASDAQ and S&P 500 scaled new highs for 2 days, the indices slipped on Tuesday as President Trump's massive tax and spending One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed narrowly in the Senate. The legislation is now set to move to the House, and from what I understand, the Senate has gone home for the holiday. So if the House can't pass this, that's it until after the holiday. I know there was a lot of talk about this being done by July 4th. The House is going to have to pass that for that to be the case because, again, I saw a report this morning. The Senate has gone home. Senate passed the measure with 50 to 51, with Vance breaking the tie. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.28. The 2-year bond was 3.79. So, again, nothing terribly concerning there, although we want to see those continue to come in a little bit. Some insights from analysts here. Following a volatile first half, the S&P 500 appears poised for continued momentum, according to analysts from Adam Turnquist, the chief technical strategist for LPL Financial. Now, I want to stop right there because we've been asking pretty much any guest that has a long-term view and a short-term view what that actually is. And in the webinar that Yassine was referencing last night, we had Tim and Anne-Marie both talk about that. And it was notable that they both kind of think that the second half of this year likely to have some upside potential there. I know Tim has recently been talking about a potential lost decade stagflation scenario. Even he, and we can ask him about that again this morning if you want, but even he is saying, yeah, that might start in 2026, but it sure looks like the back half of 2025 is going to have some potential upside. Other analysts are saying the same thing. We have seasonality stats that are telling us the same thing, both for the time of the year as well as within a new presidential election cycle. So there's a lot of data telling us that the back half of 2025 is actually going to be pretty good. I suspect this to be the case because all of this tariff stuff that really knocked the market down 20% in the first half of the year, that's the bitter. And now the sweet part of all that is going to happen in the back half of the year here, starting with tax reform and all of that. So I totally agree with this sentiment here. I am going to remain nimble, but primarily for swings, I'm going to be looking for upside swings into the back half of the year. Remember, we also talked about July being the second best month. Well, the first best month is November. And so that's coming up here. Also really good because that's got NFL football in it, but I digress. Historical data spanning back to 1950 suggests a strong bullish precedent for the second half of the year, particularly when the first 6 months delivered solid gains by the end. The S&P 500 is wrapped up in the first half of 2025 with a commendable 5.5% gain, shaking off a deep correction experienced in April. This performance sets the stage for what history indicates could be another period of positive returns. Quote, since 1950, the S&P 500 has followed up a positive first half return with an average second half gain of 6.1%. We tack 6.1% on top of the 5.5% that we've had in the first half of the year. Giddy up. We're all going to be happy come the holiday season. Delving deeper into scenarios akin to the current market environment, Turnquist highlights a particularly encouraging trend. Quote, furthermore, when first half gains were within the range of 5 to 10%, the index also posted an average gain of 6.1% in the second half, with an 86% of occurrences producing positive results. So this is another thing that we've been talking about here with seasonality, and we'll continue to focus on this as we expand that as a data point. It's not just do you win or lose? It's how much do you win or lose, and how often do you win or lose? These stats setting up pretty good for the back half of the year here. This statistical backing provides a compelling case for optimism heading into the latter half of the year. While the historical data points to a generally positive outlook, Turnquist also tempers expectations with a pragmatic reminder. Despite the bullish precedent from a positive first half, bull markets are not linear, and pullback should be expected in the second half. This is something that you just really can't lose sight of. I'm definitely someone that is long side biased. I'm definitely glass half full, bullish, whatever you want to categorize me as. But nothing is linear. There's always going to be ups and downs. And in fact, what's really going to make this better for us is how we use some of those down periods to capitalize more on the rips higher. This group has done an excellent job of doing this recently. Despite you folks that have been bearish, you've been buying on dips and then selling into rips. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do, frankly. Goes on to say, he points out that the average maximum drawdown for the S&P 500 during the second half has been minus 10.3% since 1950. However, even these potential dips tend to be shallower in scenarios like the present. Quote, second half drawdowns following a first half 5 to 10% or higher average only 8.4%. He concludes, suggesting that while volatility is a possibility, significant downturns may be less likely. So even if this doesn't work out, when we see some downward move, it probably is going to be a little bit muted. That will actually set up an interesting 2026, but we'll address that as that comes. Meanwhile, Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research highlighted a historical pattern where the S&P 500, after a negative first quarter and a subsequent 10% gain in the second quarter, has shown an average third quarter return of 10.7 and 19% gain for the rest of the year. Those are some pretty good numbers for a single quarter. The data from 1990, 2009, and 2025 suggest a potential bullish trend for the second half of 2025, supported by the analysis. Here's the actual tweet for that. So you let me know if you folks think that we're going to have a nice, let's just be general about it, a nice second half here. Let me know. Let me know what you think about that. All right, I see that the S&P future is pulling a little bit here. Let me go back to Pro here and see. Okay, so we do have this data point, U.S. ADP non-farm employment change for June, minus 33K versus the 99K estimate. Market slipping a little bit on that, although not a whole lot. Looks like there was an initial knee-jerk reaction. S&P futures here now literally at unchanged. They're down, 0.12% or something like that. Okay. Let's keep moving on with the news here. Let's see, how much time do I have? Oh, we got plenty of time before Melvin comes. Let me cruise through some of this here. NVIDIA and Palantir fuel historic tech rally, and it's far from done. This coming at a really good time. I know we talked about Palantir as a potential trade with Anne-Marie yesterday. Let me know if any of you took Palantir here or are trading it at the moment. In a quarter that began with fears of a tech wreck following Trump's sweeping tariff announcements that everyone was wrong about, by the way, Wall Street's tech darlings pushed sector benchmarks to one of the strongest quarterly gains on record, reigniting optimism for a continued summer rally. The technology sector spider fund, XLK, which tracks the broader tech sector, soared 22% during the second quarter of 2025. That marked its best quarterly performance since the second quarter of 2020, when central banks pumped liquidity into the system to combat the COVID-19 crisis, and the second best quarter since the aftermath of the dot-com collapse in 2002. From the April lows hit just after Trump's tariff policies were unveiled, the XLK has rocketed 45%, registering its strongest 13-week rally since June 2020 and second best since the ETF was launched in 1998. Pretty eye-popping numbers there. Here's what to expect for tech stocks in Q3. We just talked about maybe the market being bullish in the second half of 2025. While the third quarter is generally positive for tech, the gains tend to show up early. According to Seasonax data, looking at the last 20 years, with the XLK has averaged a 2.7% gain from July 1st to October 1st, with gains in 14 of those 20 years. So pretty good returns and a pretty good percentage there as well. However, recent third quarters haven't been kind. In 2022, the ETF fell 3.9%. In 2023, it dropped 4.5%. And in 2024, it slid another 3.7%. July, on the other hand, tells a different story. Remember, we've talked a lot about some of the seasonality that's been extremely positive for July. And it actually, in this case, doesn't even matter where you're getting that data. I know we're quoting SeasonX here in the story, but seasonality.ai has shown similar results. And I believe TradeWave.ai has also shown similar results. So data here is pretty strong for this. It's historically the strongest month for tech, that's July. XLK has averaged a 2.86% return in July over the past 2 decades, with gains in 76% of those years. Again, pretty good. We also have this golden cross. So on June 30th, the XLK triggered a golden cross, a bullish technical setup where the 50-day moving average crosses above the 200-day, and hopefully that 200-day is sloping up. It often signals the start of a longer-term uptrend. A backtest of this strategy, buying the golden cross and selling on the next death cross, shows solid historical performance since 2009. If I forget, folks, please remind me to pat 13 on the back, because we had talked about some of these golden crosses and how well they work and if they work and all of that. And we've gone back and forth on some examples. And 13 was great about saying how sometimes when you see it oscillate quite a bit, it doesn't mean nearly as much. This obviously a really different scenario. So definitely want to mention this to him. And if I get all sidetracked and forget, please remind me. Only one of the 9 trades posted a loss. Most produced double-digit returns, particularly during strong bull markets. The latest signal adds another reason to believe this rally could extend through the summer, at least for now. So July telling us a very, very positive story so far. Let's go back to the actual chart itself, and let's take a look here at XLK. So here you go. Now, here's what we're talking about. Here is the golden cross. Here was the death cross that we got. And frankly, if we look at this, let's see this. I've got this pinned here as March 27th. Okay, so here's the price for March 27th, 215. After we get that death cross, we actually print a low here of 174. Now, does this happen because of the death cross? Well, no. The big event there was the whole Liberation Day tariff unveil, which obviously sank everything temporarily. But what that did do is now it's set up for a potential golden cross. And if we go back just to kind of look at the stat that was just given there, here was the last time that we golden crossed. All the way back in 2023, this went on a huge multi-year run. So the thought here is, although we pulled back here and maybe reset some of that, do we go on another huge run here? Do we actually move to the upside? If we do, how long does that run last? And what is the amplitude of that run? Those are the things that we're going to have to figure out here. XLK, frankly, what I would really like here, pull back to this 20-day and then maybe like a week of sideways trading before it goes. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Hello, saying death crosses sell did not work for anyone. Well, in terms of the actual percentage here, this did move down, but again, you had to be very, very quick. And also, we've seen there were some other stocks, individual stocks that had these where it did not work. Where you're right about that. Here's an example of Tesla. All right, I believe, yeah. So here's the death cross on Tesla. Happened on April 11th. That didn't cause the stock to move down. In fact, we're higher than that. Here now we have the golden cross. What does this mean? Does this move higher here, or is this also kind of a nothing burger? This is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up. There's examples of death crosses and golden crosses working and not working. It seems to work a little bit better when some of the scenarios are more specific, like we haven't had one of those crosses in some time, et cetera, et cetera. But there are examples of both of these, without a doubt. Now, let's talk about Tesla. I know I was just using the chart here, but let's actually talk about the company itself. Elon Musk will oversee Tesla sales in the U.S., Europe, after Ahmed Ashfar, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, exit. Musk will oversee the sales in Europe and the U.S., while Tom Zhu, who is the executive officer at Tesla and based in China, will divide reporting lines among themselves. That comes from a Bloomberg report yesterday. Zhu will continue his role to oversee sales operations in Asia, but will also take over global production operations, anonymous sources familiar with the matter said in the report. The report also suggests that Ashfar I don't know why I can't say that name very well. I'll keep practicing. Was responsible for overseeing sales and production operations in Tesla in Europe as well as the US. The news comes as Tesla has been grappling with poor sales figures in multiple markets in several regions. While the EV maker has experienced a surge in Norway, sales declined more than 60% in other Scandinavian countries like Denmark and Sweden. Tesla also reported poor sales figures in Canada, while researchers suggest have dropped to almost zero. A major part of the decline can be attributed to Musk's right-wing politics and the close ties to the Trump administration in the U.S. That boogeyman still raising its head. Despite the decline, however, Tesla has confirmed that the company will be including more affordable models in its lineup in 2025, the company shared in its Impact report. It's also worth noting that it's unclear whether the affordable models would be trimmed down versions of existing vehicles in the Tesla lineup or if there'll be new models altogether. Now, if we go back to the Tesla chart here, let me pull it up. What is Tesla doing? Well, right now it's sitting right on that 100-day. We were on this yesterday. We had kind of a volatile day, but we still held above it. If we look inside here, Tesla still holding on, and it's also holding on to 300. So that 100-day moving average is down there at about 296 and change. Right now, we've got Tesla doing its absolute best to hold on to 300 here. This absolutely marks a key level here for Tesla today. We'll see if it's able to defend that. We get some positive gains. I know the option flow on Tesla has been amazing recently, so we'll continue to watch that and see if we can discern anything from that activity. Okay. That's the news. We're going to take a break now and talk to everyone's favorite guest, or one of them. We're going to go ahead and bring on Tim Melvin and see what he's got for us this morning. Morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you doing today?
Very, very good here. Hang on a second. Having a minor problem with sound in the headphones. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, you actually sound like you're in the room here.
Ah, there we go. That was what we were looking for. I was fascinated by the conversation of the death cross and the golden cross, and do they work and do they don't work? Because I've said this before, and I'm routinely, every time I say this in a public forum, and I'm vilified, crucified, stoned, whatever it is. But every time I talk to an experienced technician, they're like, "Yeah, that's pretty much right." It doesn't matter which one of these lines that we draw. Okay, we can use VWAP, we can use moving average crossover, we can use simple or exponential moving averages. It doesn't matter. We've got a whole range of tools, right? The important part is your risk control on the crossover, because they're not all going to work. But if you get risk control right and you limit your losses and you let your winners run, which we all hear constantly, right? Just like you always hear buy low, sell high. These are the things that everybody knows and nobody does. So, whether the lines worked in an individual situation is not really all that relevant. One death cross that doesn't work doesn't mean the death cross doesn't work, right? What you're looking for is indicators and lines where raw, you've got a 50% success rate. If you do that and you get risk control right, you're going to make a ton of money. So,
yeah, I actually, just to kind of butt in here a little bit, I think that's probably the most important. Whether we're talking about any formation, I got chastised at the end of last week for saying something was a head and shoulders. One of the viewers adamantly disagreed with me. The reality is that whatever pattern you see on the chart, whatever formation you see on the chart, Tim, you hit it right on the head. It really comes down to how you control your risk around that. And if you find a setup that gives you even a 50%, if you're controlling your risk correctly, you're going to be able to walk away from that with more cash.
Yeah, I always try to remember. Yeah, I always try to remember when you're looking at short-term or swing trading. Paul Tudor Jones, who's had undeniably one of the greatest track records ever,
no question.
And he said, "Look, I'm not smarter than everybody else. I'm not a better trader than everybody else. I'm better at risk management than everybody else." And he said, Paul Tudor Jones picks the bottom in bonds. That's a cool headline. The real headline should be, on his 14th attempt, Paul Tudor Jones picked the bottom in bonds, but that's not as cool a headline. So don't get bogged down in which indicator works and which one doesn't. Use the one that you like.
Yeah.
And master risk control.
Yeah.
So there we
Okay.
go.
I
All
love
right.
it. I love it. What do you got for us here today?
Jumping in, we got all kind of fun stuff. I want to hit on a couple studies first that I thought were interesting and possibly of value to our group here. So the first one is a study on options, and this one was fascinating. I kind of teased this one last night. Um, the paper's called "Overvaluing Simple Bets: Evidence from the Options Market." It just came out last month, and it seems that in the retail options market, retail traders are making an incredibly expensive mistake most of the time. Retail almost always goes for the binary trade, put or call, up or down. They're making one way directional bets using an option contract most of the time. And this is analyzed over thousands and thousands of trades in different markets. The majority of the time, you were better off looking at a simple call spread because the bull spreads were cheaper based on the actual valuation of the options involved. So you are paying $28 to $45 extra per contract. That's 28 to 50 cents, that's your margin in the option business over time, right? You're overpaying for options most of the time. And on average, buyers of the binary options are losing 34% of the contract price compared to the better alternative of setting up a put spread. Now, I've seen this in working with Anne Marie lately on the accelerated version of Trade Alerts, where we're doing option contract tracks around the stock. Very rarely, I mean, it's almost never, is just buying the call or buying the put the exact right trade, whether it's bull spreads or selling the options or other things. If you're out there and you're buying directional puts and calls on a pattern or some other technical indicator, you're doing the exact same thing every other retail trader in the market is doing. Now, what I shouldn't even have to say that twice for you guys to understand that you're killing your odds. I mean, you're handicapping yourself. This is like running a race carrying a lead anvil when you do that. Okay, so learn to look at option trades. Go into some of the chat rooms on Benzinga Pro, and I know there's some great ones in there with Anne Marie and Chris and Matt talking various option strategies. Learn more and learn to use simple spreads and things like that. And Tyler, bang, you hit it. I only understand the simple puts and calls. And that was exactly the conclusion that the people in the study work found. You're overpaying for simplicity in the options market almost 100% of the time. Now, I don't want to get bogged down in this conversation because we really can. But this is consistent. I don't know too many floor traders that I've met, and I know a lot of them that traded one-way directional bets using a put or a call. I know some guys who got, really rich with either a bull or a bear bias, but they were using spreads like 99.9% of the time. So, get into those chat rooms. If you're not a Benzinga Pro member, join, get into those chat rooms, learn from these folks who understand all of this stuff. So anyway, that was just a very cool study, academically proving something I've been screaming about for a very long period of time. So
that's awesome, Tim. And I want to reiterate a couple of things here. First of all, Tyler, I completely agree with Zach. You are not alone in that regard at all. When I started with options, I started with just calls and puts. I understand several of the multi-leg trades, but I still consider myself a novice. In fact, anyone that was on Happy Hour yesterday, I didn't ask for permission to say this, so I hope I'm not embarrassing anybody. But on Happy Hour yesterday, Amanda, who frequents our show here in the morning and has also been a part of it, literally followed Tim's advice and been a part of Anne Marie's room, gave a great rundown on using some of the yield max covered call ETFs for individual names and how she actually trades those. And I, just like you, Tyler, I was confused. I need to have that explained to me a few times. Tim, this is a really good point to bring up here. I never even thought about it, that you overpay for simplicity. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. Day trader here saying, I prefer spreads. Tim, every time that we talk to Anne Marie, it seems like she comes up with a way to gain exposure to a stock with less risk than it would be just outright buying calls or outright buying the stock. And to me, I think that this is something that we should focus on. I know one of the things that I'm doing kind of on the side, I'm reading about stuff like this. I'm also trying to enhance my skills. And I agree, Buffalo by Bicycle. Anne Marie is a very good teacher. I would say from any individual, I've learned more from Anne Marie than I have from anyone else. One more thing here. You should definitely follow Tim's advice and check out some of the different option education services that we have. But because this show is all about raising the tide for everybody, I'm also going to give you a free resource. And this is one that's worked for me. It's not even affiliated with Benzinga. It's the Options Industry Council, or optioneducation.org. This is an amazing free resource that will take you from a beginning options trader all the way to an advanced options trader. And again, you don't have to pay a dime for it. I've used this myself with good results. It's been extremely helpful. I still actually use it as a reference. So, okay, Tim, I don't want to get too bogged down on this either, but this is great that you covered this, because I think this is something we need to say more often.
All right. Now, that was a very cool study, and market crash risk and return predictability that also just came out. It's by I'm going to give you the name in case you want to look this study up. It's Yulong, YULONG, Sun, SUN. So they've developed a real-time simple indicator, the R zone. Now, the R zone is just real simple. Widened interest rate differentials. If a country's short-term interest rate has increased significantly relative to the U.S. over the past 12 months, into the 80th percentile of the historical distribution, and then the equity market has underperformed the S&P over the past 12 months, that country is now in the R zone, and the probability of a crash has accelerated. So can't use it to find U.S. crashes, but when you're looking at global markets and emerging markets in particular, this is incredibly predictive. Nothing is 100%, but it is very good at predicting negative stock market returns. Entry into a local R zone is linked to declines most of the time. So just a very cool, and by the way, it also a country that's in the R zone is likely to have slower economic growth, which sets up some kind of interesting bond trains as well. So anyway, I read that one. I thought it was cool for those of you that are doing any business in emerging markets or even other global developed markets outside of the U.S. This global R score, it's pretty good at predicting when a country is ripe for a crash. And there's all sorts of macro trading things that you can do with that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So then, Ryan, let's get back in. When we last left you, we were doing the PEG ratio with the Piotrowski F score. And today we're going to talk about that a little bit more, and we're going to add some stuff to this. Now, first off, the PEG ratio is real simple. It's just the PE compared to the growth rate. As you get so bogged down in PE, I don't even use that metric most of the time, because a good accountant can make the bottom line GAAP earnings whatever they want it to be. But we want to look here. You've got companies that are growing at 30, 35, 40, 50% a year, and they're going to continue to do so. I mean, do you use a traditional PE ratio and say that stock's not cheap unless it's trading at 12 times earnings? You'll never own the stock under that condition. But if you've got a stock growing at 50% a year that's going to keep doing that, then 25 times earnings, that's pretty cheap. Even 35 times earnings is, a discount from the using a PEG ratio analysis. So when we used that last week, we found some pretty cool stuff. But one thing that's come up is, what is the F score and why are we using it? So I'm going to go through this quick because I have a tendency to eat into Ryan's time to prepare for the open. So
okay. But before we do that, let me just follow up here before this gets lost here. You were just talking about countries that are going to crash here. Thinking about it says, well, which countries are those, if you have those handy?
I did not. I'm sorry. I have not run the list. I read the study yesterday. I thought that's interesting. Let's get in and talk about it. we can take a look at that and come back to you next week with it.
Okay, that works. And then as far as the PEG ratio goes here, did you want me to set up a scan using this? Do we want to use the rankings as well?
Hang on for 1 second because we're going to go through the F score, which, as you know, is on the next list to go into Pro.
Yep.
So, but we can set up a couple screens that will come close to getting us there. But
okay,
with the F score, what we're doing is we're testing for financial strength, intelligent balance sheet management, liquidity. So it's a 9-point score. And for everything that you get right, you get 1 score. Over 7, I prefer 8 or 9. That's a super strong business where the fundamentals are good and getting better. So simple checklist, right? All you need is the balance sheet and the income statements and cash flow statements. If the return on assets are positive, that's a 1. If operating cash flow is positive, that's a 1. If the return on assets this year is higher than last year, that's a 1. Now, accruals. If the operating cash flow margin is higher than the return on assets, that's a 1. If it's lower, we have accrual accounting, which is not necessarily bad in and of itself unless it's done continuously, because that makes for very low quality actual earnings. And then if long-term debt to assets is decreased, that's a 1. Current ratio has gone up, greater liquidity, that's a 1. No new shares issued, that's a 1. So we're just looking for, and then gross margin improvement is a 1, and asset turnover improvement is a 1. So the higher the score, the stronger the company, just so everybody understands exactly what we're measuring with the F score. So when we go in there, we didn't have a chance to throw out a lot of stocks last week. I just set this up for companies that are growing, that have a PEG ratio of 0.9 or less, but it does have to be positive. We don't do negative companies. And then we just set that up for those that have F scores of 8 or 9. And there's some pretty cool companies on here. Now, even if, by the way, we use a monthly rebalance when we tested this, we came up with somewhere between 20 and 25% a year annually, more than doubling the market's rate of return, even during a very strong period. So when we set this up, Ryan, one of the things we noticed follows up on our conversation from last night, because you got a bunch of home builders on there: Taylor Morrison Home, Tri-Point Homes, Green Brick Partners, all made it. Sterling Infrastructure, which in addition to, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think KB Homes was on there. Beezer was on there.
Yeah, those were on our list from last night. I'm not seeing, because that, remember, we had a 20-day moving average filter in that one. Not seeing that one on this particular list as far as the PEG ratio, but you do, other kind of interesting companies, Next Star Media Group, NXST. I'm a huge fan of Green Brick Partners, the home builder. Love that. United Bancorp of Alabama, UPAB, very illiquid stock, but just a great little bank down in Alabama. So we know this works. And Ryan, I think we can capture a lot of these if you do a PEG ratio of 0.9, 0.01 to 0.9 on Pro, if we want to set this up.
We're going to take off ETFs and ADRs.
Yeah.
A max PEG ratio of 0.9.
Yeah, 0.9 is correct, but make a minimum of 0.01 because that throws out negative earnings companies.
Got it.
Okay, and then let's just do a quality ratio of 90. This is going to catch a lot of this. Okay, so you can set that up in Pro. Ryan is threatening bodily harm, and he was going to threaten to run folks over with the car if they didn't get it done, but he really loves his new car. We're putting pressure, Ryan, far more than I, to get the F scores and the Z scores and some other things into Pro. That's coming. There's a big rework of the data system coming in. So once that's done, these will be easily accessible in Pro. But what we're doing is we're taking valuation measures, and whether it's the F score, here we can do it with the quality measure. and you can see Green Brick is on there. Some of the same companies that, the list I just ran down are on this list of stocks. Maybe sort that by market cap, Ryan, if you can.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of crossover with the list of stocks that I was just kind of running down that have the high F scores. So for now, we can set that up there, and it's not that hard with the financial data, which is available on Benzinga, to do the checklist yourself. Because when this study first came out back in 2000, software like Pro and like some of the other packages that make the S score available, they were a dream. So we literally went through and did them all by hand, which I really think is a good lesson to do when you're learning to use these things anyway. So then, me being me, I have a strong credit analysis background. I cut my teeth in distressed debt. The Altman Z-score comes in, and we use it to evaluate what's the chance of financial distress, of this company having bankruptcy, having to restructure, getting into financial difficulties, right? The higher the score, the lower the chance of difficulties. And again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Altman invented this thing in 1968. It is remarkably effective. And all we're using measures from the balance sheet: working capital, total assets, retained earnings. Then we use earnings before interest and taxes, use the market value of the equity, total liabilities, simple stuff, easily picked out of the financial statements, very easily. So my kind of credit brain says, okay, now what if we go in here and we get all the cheap stocks measured by PEG ratio, and we want to see what happens if we take out the garbage, right? Anytime you have a low valuation ratio, PEG, PE, price to book, price to cash flow, oftentimes there's garbage, particularly PE and price to book. Those companies often are super cheap for a reason. They're garbage company. They owe too much money. Their products stink. There's a competitor that's going to put them out of business. So, lots of reasons. They could be making buggy whips or CD-ROMs, right? They could be the best at it, but nobody's going to use them anymore, so it doesn't matter what they make. So if we use the Z-score and we set it to 3, which is kind of the magic number, 3 and over, you're just not going to have financial difficulties in the near term or even longer term future of this company. This is literally a fortress balance sheet. If we just did that, bought the third, got the universe separated into low PEG ratio stocks with high Altman Z-scores, and then bought the 30 with the lowest PEG ratio. This, again, just crushes the market during a time when market prices were rising very nicely anyway. And I mean, it returns from this simple strategy, balanced monthly. And, I had an academic friend of mine's like, well, when we try to take that to the institutional, balancing monthly is just too much. The turnover is too high. And I said, man, I'm really glad to hear that, because I'm not an institution. I don't care. So we're not institutions. We can rebalance monthly. And all you're looking here now is financially bulletproof companies that are trading at low valuations when compared to the PEG ratio. And what's at the top of the list here when we do this? NVIDIA, Salesforce. You guys have heard of these, right?
Oh, yeah.
Altria, Supermicro Computer. But wait a minute. Hold on. Here come the home builders again. NVR, Pulte Group. At the top of that. Top Build, going down. Okay, Sterling Infrastructure's back on it. Taylor Morrison Homes. So, barring some big surprises, if we get interest rate cuts, the home builders are well positioned here. Apparently, going just by the screens, we're short 5 million homes to meet demand. One of the big problems is mortgage rates Powell said yesterday that if it wasn't for the tariffs, they'd have already lowered rates. We get a bad jobs report Friday. And I saw somebody chattering about the ADP report earlier. Do yourself a favor. You'll thank me for this. Just quit reading the ADP report. It's got zero correlation, right? It's the same correlation of the ADP to the actual jobs report as me, an NBA champion basketball player. All right, there's just absolutely no relationship. Okay, or Baltimore Orioles and World Series belts. I mean, they just haven't mattered in a very long time. So
not taking the bait on that one. No, sir.
Well, look, I already owe you dinner. There's no way we catch you guys. So, I mean, you let me know which Chipotle you want to go
to. I knew something like that was coming.
So, anyway, using the Z-score, really powerful. And again, you're going to get a lot of crossover with using the momentum scores for now. But we will have Z-scores in Pro very soon. In the meantime, look, this universe is fairly easy to create. Ryan, if there's interest, I'll send you some spreadsheets with the latest list. This should be your list, guys. PEG ratios with quality measures have been proven to outperform the market. So I'm going to give you a list for your trading and say, these stocks are probably going to outperform the market. Why don't you base your long side trades on this? And by the way, use the bull spreads, not the outrights. And then flip the equation around. And if you're looking to trade a negative, go with high PEG ratios and exactly the opposite, low F scores or low Z scores. You can set up a whole universe and you're tipping probability in your favor, if that makes sense to anybody. I don't know. I only, came away with it from, back in the days when I may have gone to a few horse races and played, a hand of cards or two, occasionally.
Just a few.
And I generally found that if I could get the odds in my favor before I bet, I actually got to take a cab home instead of hitchhiking. So
that's good.
So, all right. And the other thing that we set up is like, if we know F score works and we know Z score works, well, just seems to make sense. We put them together, right? So let's go ahead and look at companies with a low PEG ratio, a high F score, and a high Z score. Now, you don't always have a lot of stocks, but when you do, they go up. This just absolutely crushes the market overall. You tend to have fewer stocks, so there is a bit more volatility. But you've got absolutely financially bulletproof companies that are growing, trading at a reasonable, right? Because PEG ratio is not cheap stocks; it's growth at a reasonable price, right? So you've got all these GARPy stocks with just absolute bulletproof financials. I can't do anything about the market. I don't know what the market's going to do tomorrow. I got an idea what it might do over the next decade, but that short-term direction, that's hard for everybody, right? So I can't do anything about that. And by the way, I could be completely wrong about what I think is going to happen over the next decade. What I can control, and therefore it's the only thing I make any effort to control, is what I pay for the companies and the financial strength and condition of the companies. Because if I get that right, I will make money. If I limit my trading list to a list of companies that have the characteristics of stocks that are going to go up when I'm buying and the characteristics of stocks that will go down when I'm selling, this is like getting aces in the hole. Right? I mean, at a minimum, kings, your odds are much higher than everybody else at the table. So you can use it as an investor. You should absolutely be using it as a trader. And again, if you're trading Tesla and, the hot regular stocks of the day, the most popular names, and you're using binary call option trades, I mean, you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. your odds of getting rich doing exactly the same thing as everybody else are doing in the market are the same as your odds of getting rich betting the favorites in every race at the track. Probably not going to happen. Matter of fact, you can win. You'll win about a third of the races at the track, and you'll lose money on the day.
I was going to say the house banks that most people are going to do that because they know they're going to win.
Yeah, if you bet the favorites on every horse race in America during the course of the day, you're going to win between 30 and 40% of your races, which, hey, that feels pretty good, right? Except you're going off as the chalk every time at very low odds. So you actually end up not making money. So, expand your universe here a little bit, and using the PEG ratio and financial quality measures is one way of doing it. But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you the tickers of the handful of stocks that have high Z scores, high F scores, and low PEG ratios. So you guys ready? Anybody wants these? I'm going to go relatively slow so you have them.
I'm going to keep a list here myself so that I can paste it for the group for anyone that misses it.
Very cool. Salesforce, CRM.
Okay.
Ralph Lauren, RL. This is how we know that Ryan's been going to lunch at the cafe there in Chicago. Lauren's minting money on the profit side. Ryan's taking all his friends to lunch there to a cafe. Have you been to that cafe, Ryan?
I have never been to the Ralph Lauren cafe.
It's actually fantastic. You should go. Decker's Outdoor, DECK. Sterling Infrastructure. I love Sterling Infrastructure. I think my cost in this stock is like $9 or something crazy like that. Fantastic business. Urban Outfitters, URBN. Taylor Morrison, TMHC. Stride. I'm a Super Bowl on online education companies, especially those that are offering some of the more useful degrees and not just outer Mongolian philosophy and this sort of thing. So Stride, LRN, one of the best companies in the business. Onto Innovation, ONTO. Victory Capital Holdings, VCTR. Contour Brands, their headquarters is right down the street. They do the coolest warehouse sale twice a year. Jeans for $12, new jeans, good stuff. I'm that cheap. I go to those things.
Yeah, so that sounds like Costco's every day. Cool. What was the ticker? Sorry, I had to. I had to. I absolutely had to. What was the ticker for the last stock there?
KTB.
KTB.
Yep. Dorman Products, DORM. TriPoint Homes, TPH. And another old favorite, Green Brick Partners, the home builder, GRBK, incredibly well-run company. But anyway, high Z score, high F score, no financial stress in here, right? And you're paying a very reasonable, very GARPy growth at a reasonable price for the company. And all of them have been growing over 1, 3, and 5 years. So anyway, I wanted to, really kind of hit that PEG ratio and quality measures today because, once we fell down the rabbit hole, I went really deep using, credit analysis and other analysis. And you can just definitely recreate that with Pro, with some of the stuff we're adding to Pro. Most importantly, guys and ladies, it makes you money. Okay, so I try to bring you stuff that's going to make you money. You put it in there with momentum, with value. It's another form of value. It's really, really profitable.
And don't worry, folks, because when we do, like right now, you can still use the scanner to do a lot of this stuff, but Tim and I are going to be doing more instructional videos for free on how you can use these tools to identify these stocks on your own. So, Tim, we love that you're giving the list of stocks to us now. You're literally doing the legwork for us. By the way, those tickers are in the chat there. But in addition to that, we're going to show you how to bait the hook and fish yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll show you how to do that yourself. So that's coming here. And that'll be in 2025. You had said it earlier here, for anyone that's interested in Pro, we have a really big kind of a fundamental change on how we're going to be doing quoting and numbers. And as a result, this project needs to be correct and it needs to be first. And that's kind of where we're at. So once we knock this down, we're going to be able to expand into some other things, namely those scanner ads that you talked about, as well as possibly some seasonality tools. So really exciting stuff on the docket.
We did say last time that we would get to it on the Tuesday night webinar. We didn't get to it as much last night, but here's what I'll do. If Ryan will let me, I will say that In the next Tuesday night webinar, I will come in and we will build some screens around the PEG ratio that allow you to introduce quality and balance sheet strength into your investing and searching activities on Pro, and that'll be a placeholder until we get the actual F&Z scores in there. But so Ryan, if you're okay with that, we can do that, and Anne-Marie can come in and wrap some of those really cool option trades she does around it, and it'll just be the place to be that particular Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy to do that. Really quick, I think that this comment happened before you joined here, Tim. We did have a comment about the webinar last night. Webinar was awesome last night, guys. Thank you. So I'm all about doing more of those here. I love the combination of having a thesis, finding stocks that meet that thesis, and then layering options trades on top of them. That sounds awesome. So, okay.
That's
anything
all.
else for us? That's it?
No, that's
that wasn't enough, Tim?
Well, I've got one more. I'm going to give it to you real quick. This is going to, because I'm getting into your time, but I forgot this one. New study on insider buying out. This was a very cool study. And they went over 34 years of data, 2.4 million sell trades, 768,000 buy trades. There's always more sells than buys. And what they found is that insider trading, when we look at this, insider buying works best when you do it in undervalued stocks, and they use several different definitions. I will tell you that we found that it's low enterprise value to earnings before interest and taxes, and low price to tangible book value, depending on sector. Insider buying works best in undervalued stocks. Generally speaking, low undervalued stocks that have insider buying tend to see a value correction. The valuation changes over time, meaning the insiders knew what the hell they were doing. It works over the longer term, a year or longer. Okay. Clusters of insider selling, right? You see 4 or 5 insiders selling. This happens around the lockups quite often. When you see a bunch of insiders selling their stock and the stock is overvalued, I use price to sales. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock in a bar, and nothing good happens in a stock with insider selling at a price to sales over 10. So price to sale over 10, clusters of insider selling, which you can do all of this to Pro, and it's something we can talk about. That is much shorter term. Okay, so the insider selling signals have a shorter shelf life than the insider buying signals, consistent with my own research. The insider buying is much more meaningful. But again, that's over 3 million individual trades studied. So when you see insider buying in stocks that are undervalued on several different measures, and by the way, you want to find undervalued stocks on several different measures, go to Pro and use the value ranking, because
we've made it easy.
It's right there. Just 90 or higher, you've got the most undervalued. And it's a composite measure across several measures. I did want to throw that in there.
That's timely, Tim, because one of the other things to keep in mind is that if you have a very wealthy owner or CEO, he might sell stock $700 million worth to pay for a $50 million wedding and renting out Venice.
That's it. Always, when you're doing insiders, you want to look for clusters, okay? Because it right, you could be paying for a wedding, you could be paying. Often a couple years after the wedding, you have to sell more stock to pay for the divorce. You might want to pay the excise taxes to get your kid into Harvard. I mean, whatever it is, right? Insiders can sell stocks for lots of different reasons. But when you see a cluster of insiders come up and all of a sudden you got like 5 insiders selling stock at the market in the open market, not options related, and the stock's very expensive, you got to go, maybe I don't buy that one today, or maybe we hedge that one today, or if you're so inclined, maybe we short a little bit of that one today. So, but again, if you're going to short it, use the spread, not the binary option. Tim said so. Anyway, guys, I'm going to eat in your time. 13 said keep going, Tim. He must be still eating breakfast, but we're going to put him on the hook now because he's always adds some value to the show as you go in to the morning hours. So.
Yep. And by the way, Tim, as you're signing off here, Tesla production numbers coming out. Someone had asked about these earlier. Tesla total production 410,000, total deliveries 384,000, trading higher after the company produced these and released these numbers. Tesla popping by nearly 7% here, 320 now in the pre-market. Giddy up. Today's about to be fun. Tim, thanks for everything. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time.
We'll see y'all real soon.
All right. That is Tim Melvin, folks. One of our favorite guests here. He brings the heat all of the time. Really good stuff there. We might be one of the only places. Not only are we going to give you ideas, but we're going to give you some of the research behind the ideas and why we're choosing those in the first place. So good stuff there. Yassine in Tesla, $299. Bang. Amanda, I'm excited to get out of some Tesla longs here today. Really good stuff. And yes, 3D, good morning. Thank you, Tim. Thank you indeed. One of the more valuable guests that we have on a regular basis. So, okay, really good stuff here. Let's check in with another valuable teammate. 13, good morning. How you doing, man?
Good morning. It's pretty well over here. And thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. I was only saying keep going because with these movers, man, there are a lot of things that I have to go through, and I just don't have a lot of time in the morning to get through everything I'd like to. But I appreciate when Tim comes on because it does give me some more time to look into some of these movers. But yeah,
no problem at all. You know, I'm also going to throw this out there. Benzinga Pro kind of helps you find those movers and go through them. It also helps you save some time there. So really good stuff. Folks, my producer's saying that we don't even have 100 likes. What? That's not good. That's not good. Let's hit that like button. Smash that up for us. Sorry, 13, get in there.
No worries. I just wanted to say I joined the Tesla crowd. I'm in at 103. I'm sorry, 301.
303. Yeah.
301 yesterday. I just threw a limit order out there. So, it's maybe we get a little, move off of 300 tomorrow since we kind of tested that and went underneath it briefly. Total lottery ticket trade, but seemed to have worked. 301 was my entry.
Look, I like starting the money, or excuse me, for having
me too. Let's start
that
money.
Starting the day off with money, or you start the money off with the day, whichever one works for you. We'll do both of those here.
But really what does the money machine sound like? Brr. Let's go.
Also registering. Kerching, he knows what the money machine sounds like. Okay, let's get to these movers here. The first one, you folks are already over this. Mogo is absolutely popping here. By the way, really quickly, thinking about it, you had asked earlier about Anne-Marie. You had said, why does Anne-Marie use butterflies instead of just spreads? She's here. I asked her that. We'll see if we can get you an answer there thinking about it. I did not ignore you. Okay, first mover here on the list, MOGO. This is Mogo. Mogo shares are trading higher after the company announced a $50 million Bitcoin treasury authorization. Where's day trader? Is he fist pumping? Because this Bitcoin treasury thing, there's a ton of these stocks that are doing this more and more and more. And this is the type of reaction that we see here. Oh my, this thing popping. It was about $1.19 yesterday. We are up 200+% right here. Looks like we found some resistance right there at 4. Quick look around the horn here on Mogo. 1.23% of the float shorted. That comes with a days to cover of 1.62, and that comes on an average volume of 2.4 million, or just about. This morning we've got 92 million. So I'm going to have no trouble trading this one, covering stuff up, going long the whole 9 yards. Float here just over 21 million. 13, what do you think of this, MOGO?
Yeah, so this 50 million Bitcoin treasury plan, this is something that they had recently discussed at their latest shareholder meeting. So how this is going to work is they don't necessarily have that 50 million right now. This is a plan for what they're going to be using that capital for once they've closed the WonderFi Robinhood transaction. That's supposed to happen in the second half of this year, pending regulatory approvals. So if Mogo is the name that you'd like to trade, I would think you'd want to be paying attention to what happens with those regulatory hurdles. And I can give you a list of the different names if you like. But the important thing is that they don't have this money right now. That's they're expected to have it after that transaction closes. The company Mogo does have 21 million shares in the float. So for the purpose of trading today, it shouldn't be too hard to get this to move around. It's already having a fantastic morning getting moved around. But there is, like you pointed out, there is resistance at 4, and that resistance, if you want to look at a daily chart, That goes all the way back to 22, specifically May, where we are starting to hit those levels. May and August. About 405 is the level that I'm looking at, maybe a little bit higher, but that's about where the price is starting to run up into and having resistance. But if we get through that, the next area of resistance I see is going to be up in the 5 handle around 530, 525. So yes, that $4 level is 405, 410, somewhere in there. We're going to want to see some breakout occur through that in order to drive higher in this. But that MOGO 50 million Bitcoin treasury plan not happening until after the close of that WonderFi Robinhood transaction.
Okay, really good stuff there, Mogo. I love this comment here. Where was that? Mogo is going to lose its mojo at some point. Well, we all know that that's the case. You're absolutely right on that, day trader. But we'll see if we get an opportunity here. Maybe a pullback to 250. I've got that VWAP there at 283 too. We'll see if that represents a pullback level. Okay, good stuff there on the first one. Next one here is going to be DAIC. This is Sid Holdco. Looks like we popped yesterday. This is, let's see here. Oh, I've got something wrong here.
No,
what's
there's
that?
There's nothing wrong. This is a SPAC. That used to be a SPAC. It was a shoulder up tech acquisition, yep. And now it's DAIC, the CID holding company. So don't have a whole lot of data on this.
Well, here's what we got for that. Okay. So real quickly, it's announced as a corporate action where UACU shareholders will receive 1 new share of DAIC and a half share of the DAICW, the warrant, for each old share. Mm-hmm. This move aims to boost stock performance, liquidity, and future growth.
Sure. Okay.
A cool story, bro.
I ain't buying it. And here's why. This is a former SPAC. And what these do is they de-SPAC. And this de-SPACing process typically involves redemptions. And this move down here, after we had the pop in the morning, we're just right back to where we started. So maybe we get a little turnaround here and there's a brief bounce. But I don't think this is one that we want to really trade, because this could trap a lot of people. I think Joseph Schmal, I think you're right. A lot of SPACs, they're going to be scams, and we're going to see a lot of these. So these are going to, they'll trade really well. But once the acquisition happens, there's a very high chance that these aren't going to trade very well until they de-SPAC and all the redemption offers are off the table and have closed. That could be a while. That could be months, could be years. I don't think this is something that we're going to want to do any kind of hold or maybe even hold it for or trade it in some cases. Be very careful if you decide to do it. I don't really think there's going to be anything here, but we'll see if there's a bounce after the open, because like I just said, it is trading down at the prices it was at earlier when we opened this morning in the pre-market.
Yeah, so this was basically where it was trading sideways after the pop yesterday. Yeah. So it basically round tripped the entire move that it put in here this morning. So okay, good stuff there. DAIC. Did I give you the? Don't have any short interest on here.
It's all new. Yep. So
yeah, it's all new. Here's okay. So maybe watch this one first. I wouldn't jump head first into that one.
Yeah, but my broker does say that it has 11.8 million shares. Since I didn't get a read on it from a pro, but. So it could still move around, but this is not something you want to be holding at all right now. I think this will still go lower. The de-SPACing process has hurt many holders that have traded SPACs before and held. So just be careful with this one. I think there's better things out there to trade.
Okay, awesome. Love this. Midnight Hammer, the Midnight Rider, as I like to call him. Nobody in this chat falls for this horse crap stock names. That's what I want to hear. Yes. That makes me proud. Okay.
I've got to cover any new viewers we have. Anybody that's coming here for the first time, they got to know this. But my wonderful chat here, you guys know, you've been in this game long enough to know how scammy these can be.
Yep, absolutely. We'll continue to cover that. Okay, really good stuff here. Next is going to be NAM, N-A-M-M. This is Namib Minerals. Reported on June 26th, they filed to sell 87.55 million ordinary shares. That's the most recent news that we have. Looks like Yeah, that's basically it. To stack up 48.1% right now on the back of that. Not really sure why here. I don't have any float reading or short interest reading, so maybe a new issue here. On average, stock trades 178,000 shares. Today we've traded 4.2 million. You got anything on this, 13? I don't have pretty much anything on this.
Didn't cover this one, but I can just look at it right now and see that it has 3.12 million shares in the float. Did the same kind of round trip that DAIC just did. So not exactly sure what that's about. The filing to sell shares, maybe that's something we want to be mindful of if this is going to raise back up in the after when the regular session opens. If there's any price action here that lifts it back up to where it was in the pre-market, like what, $17, almost $18. Maybe consider taking some profit on the way up with this, because I don't want anybody to get hit with that offering being executed. So let's just keep that in mind. And then it certainly looks like they're going to need capital. I don't have it read on their income statement, but their balance sheet says they have less than $700,000 in cash, and it's a minerals company. Now I don't know what kind of operations they have right now. It's apparently it says it's a gold producer, developer, and explorer with operations focused in Zimbabwe. So there's some risk exposure there as well.
Yeah, so. I'd say. Okay. That's a good breakdown for not having a whole lot about this. Probably will pass on this one. There are a couple of others on the list here. And actually, this list is changing around literally as we're speaking about. And it goes.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is going to probably be like this is probably what it's going to be like for the rest of the week. We're probably going to get a lot of volatility, a lot of moving around. This is our last full day of this week. We have a half day tomorrow. Market's still really, illiquid. So I think we're going to get some outsized moves, but I think when we get the moves we want, we sell those and we just have a nice 4th of July vacation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Windtree, this is going to be one of those. This is another one of those that we've looked at before. We should absolutely sell these when you get gains in them. This is a penny stock move from about 60 cents, maybe 55 cents, just over $1 here. Did we have news on this? Indeed, Windtree Therapeutics scores U.S. patent for one of its drug formulations in acute heart failure, providing protection through 2039. The one thing that I didn't dig into this, obviously, but what I will say here is we've seen the stock move on PRs very similar to this in the past. Be careful with this. I don't buy this for the long term. Stock's up 80%. This sure feels like we're going to get a retracement here today. If we don't and we get a trade here, okay, I'm going to stay away from this penny stock, though. Quick look around the horn on WINT. We've traded, again, I've mentioned this before. We've traded this one a bunch. 25.41% of the float shorted. That is of the most recent report that we had. There was a huge gain in the short interest here. 1 day to cover, that comes on an average volume of 2.5 million. Today we've traded over 18.5 million. The float's only 3.6 million. So what do you think here? You think there's a trade on Windtree?
There might be, but this is another one of these companies that they don't have a lot of cash and they don't make enough money to sustain their operations. So I do see that back in May they have a Form S, which means that they are filing to issue more shares to raise capital. I don't know if that expired or not, and if it didn't, it's likely still on the table. Now I looked and I didn't see any secondary offerings for May or this year for that matter. So that could still be on the table. And this has a 25% short interest with only 1 day to cover, but still significantly high for this company. I think once we get, this is just going to be another one of those, we get this trade and, backed, let's just, be done with it. And let's have a nice 4th of July. Could get that offering happen today if that's still on the table. We do not want to get caught in any offerings. This thing is just now getting over $1. If it goes back under $1, it probably won't trade as well. Just be very careful with this one. It's great that it's ripping right now, but let's just stick to the plan of we'll get the move we want. We'll be done with it. It can do whatever it wants afterwards. Let's just make sure we go into our 4th of July weekend without any regrets.
Yeah, really good stuff there. Okay, next here is going to be early works. I am trying to move through these. I know a couple of you want to talk about CYN. We should probably take a look at BMNR again.
Okay.
CIFR was moving earlier. So there's still a couple on this list here. I want to roll through as fast as we can. ELWS, early works here. This did pop. Now, this, again, was reported June 26th. It was granted an extension by NASDAQ to regain compliance. I believe we got one of those things yesterday morning, right? This Form 6, was that what this was?
Forms. I don't think that's what.
No, it wasn't.
Are, no.
Notice of the 7th general meeting of shareholders. No, this is just about the general meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so this is moving up here just about 48%. Nothing terribly fresh here. Might just be kind of one of those pump jobs. You definitely want to be careful. Again, a quick look around the horn here. 1.91% of the float shorted with 1.49 days to cover. Comes on a ridiculously thin average volume of 107,000 shares for this $3 stock. Be careful if you do trade this one. Floats 1.3 million. Today we've traded 45 million. Do you like this one? This to me feels also kind of risky.
Yeah. So this is a Japanese company. That's what the filings are saying anyway about their address. So I'm looking at the balance sheet, and it says 212 million, but I'm pretty sure that's in yen. So I'm not sure because I don't have a read on their income. I tried to look into this one, but the recompliance play being the last piece of news that I saw from last month, I would exercise extra caution on this one because this seems like this is just getting, like you said, pumped. We are. Mm-hmm. It does appear to on the 5-minute chart to be sort of compressing. You can see that we're still trading within the high and the low of the pre-market session here.
And we're still holding the 65.
Yeah, right. So exactly. So I would just watch for which direction we start to go as we approach the open here. And let me just bring this up on here because I'm not looking at my my broker's chart. This is actually one we have traded before. So interestingly, I have levels. We liked our levels, right? So this did come down to the 160, close to the 160 level I have marked off here. We're back up at, let's see, we're over 285 now. So the next level I'd be looking for is 3. And wouldn't you know, we have a large number of sellers at 305. So I think that if we take that out, we could see us push higher into 3. Maybe I have levels going all the way up to 425. Certainly possible, but like I said, don't know enough about this. I don't see any news. Might have to be very careful with this one.
Agreed.
Let's just wait and see what we get out of the gate. Is how I think I'd be trading this one today.
Okay. Here is another one on the movers list. This is SCAG, SCAG. Looks like this was a new. I know. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Looks like this was a new issue as of Monday. Skage Future American Depository shares, they climbed 67.8% in pre-market after dipping on Tuesday. Okay, if we're just looking at this right here, this is a newly formed holding company. I'll be honest, this is a complete pass for me until we get some more information. I'm in no rush to trade something like this just because it is moving here today. I'm going to skip over this. I don't think there's anything, unless you know about this company, I don't think there's anything that we really need to cover here. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. I mean, even the name just makes me feel gross. So let's
okay. So we're gonna move on. Next one here is going to be GRYP. Several of you have mentioned this here this morning. They surged nearly 60% in after-hours trading yesterday as the Eric Trump-backed American Bitcoin merger advances. This was one of those. We were talking about one of these yesterday. I couldn't remember what the ticker was. This is one of them. Now, we did pop as high as 180. We've come all the way back in. We've lost the VWAP here. I don't really like this, to be honest. I think that there's probably something better that we're going to be able to find here today. But nonetheless, this is why the stock is moving. Short interest here, 3.4% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and that comes on an average volume of 13 million. We've traded 31 million. Float's 58 million. What do you think on this?
Currently getting, I don't have anything fundamental to discuss on this one, but just looking at the chart, seeing that we are getting some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, trying to get back up to VWAP. It's currently beneath that and the 65 EMA. So between this range and this range that we're in, I want to see us get out of the range. So either that's going to be a breakdown from the 200 or a breakout of the VWAP. Another one I'd just be waiting to see what happens at the open. But I do see that we do have a significant amount of sellers at 135, and that's about where the VWAP is. I have my VWAP at 132. So that could, if we take those sellers out, we could see a pretty good move up higher, and we'd have plenty of levels that we can use from the pre-market trading already. As a matter of fact, we may even have a little trend line here. We do. Okay, so if you want to draw a trend line from the highs and draw it through the 705 high, you'll see that we are, we really have a really nice trend line. No, I'm talking like the 190 high from like very early this morning. I'm sorry, that must have been after hours. You're right.
I was going to say this is after hours.
Yeah, let's do it from the after hours and then do it through the 705 high. There we go. That's the juiciness I'm talking about. So there we are. That's what I'd be watching for, a break of that lines up with the break over 65 EMA and VWAP. I would just say, let's see if we get it. And if we don't, then we have other stuff to trade.
Okay, good stuff. Last one I really wanted to go over here is CYN. A number of you were mentioning this. We've traded this one here before. Syngin shares, Syngin, that's how I'm going to go with it. Syngin shares are trading higher after the company announced it has secured $32 million in funding. Okay, funding secured. Here we go again with this time $32 million. This did pop to 16, it's backed off a little bit, but it does look like it's trying to return and test that $16 level. Short interest here really hasn't changed since the last time we looked at it. 2.69% of the float shorted with 1.4 days to cover. 3.5 million shares on average trade. Today we've traded 7.6. The float's 1.2. What do you think here on CYN? This was a big winner for our group not long ago. I think we got a repeat performance there.
This looks like it's going to at least trade better than some of these other ones that we've been looking at this morning. Did have a run up to 1638 this morning. Backed off of that, lost VWAP, did recapture it, so we're above VWAP right now. Still think that we could try and push higher, but it appears that looks like about 1550 is the big resistance to get over right now. So as we approach the open here, we got less than 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can get over that 1550, and if it does, it could end up trading a lot better than some of these other ones we're looking at here. So 1550 is going to be the one. And if it does break out, we'll rev your Syngens because this thing could take off.
Okay, there you go. Also, BMNR, just a casual mention here on BMNR. This is one that's recently moved that we've traded both Monday and Tuesday here. We're gapping up a little bit in the pre-market, but we really haven't done anything of note. This basically traded up to where we were at in the pre-market before. So a new trade here today, maybe just trade it on a possible move through the highs there or against one of the VWAPs. Anyway, this is moving up here, kind of low volume, and I don't think we had any other news. No, nothing new here. So this is just the stale news from earlier this week. Izzy
is bringing up CIFR. He's saying that everybody on X is talking about this. He's looking for help. So I'm reading the news for CIFR right now. This has news today. This might not have taken off yet, but it could.
It's up 10% in the pre-market already.
Right. And the fact that there are people talking about this is interesting, especially when it's on X, because X tends to be a source of bot pumpers. And the news today is that it's, Cipher Mining has surpassed the hash rate growth forecast at Black Pearl, announces June 2025 operational update, mines 160 Bitcoin in June. There's some interesting PR headlines here. About its phase 1 of Black Pearl. I'm not sure what Black Pearl is, but I'm assuming that's some kind of program they have there that's doing this for them. Maybe somebody in the chat could help me out with that. But I think this is one that we're going to want to pay attention to, especially since crypto is still hot. And if this company is mining 160 Bitcoin in June, well, they're doing really well.
Okay. Good stuff there. Cypher says phase 1 of its Black Pearl is now delivering 3.4. What is EH? That's a hash rate. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of hash rate that is.
No, yeah, I literally don't know what it means. What does EH/S stand for? Something per second, I'm assuming. You guys will have to help me out with that.
Exahashes per second.
Exahashes. Okay,
that's a lot of hashes.
Exceeding what you have to know here is that the prior guide was 2.5 exahashes. They're doing 3.4, so better than expected.
Yes. Okay. So there you go. So That's kind of what I'm getting at. We need to, just keep this on our radar. We'll see what it does. But if it gets pumped on X, we already know the reason why.
Okay. Good stuff there. We are less than 2 minutes until we open here. Let me get over to my main workspace. Got to find it here first. Boom. Let's get ready for today. See what we got here. WINT, that has pulled back into penny territory. I hope nobody chased that. Skag here. Jane's comment. I've known a few Skags in my life. Hopefully we don't know one more here. I don't know if we need to trade this here.
I hope we don't have to. I'm going to have to take a shower after that.
God, I'm sorry. It's my own fault. CYN here going for the pre-market high. We'll see if we pop that. Volume actually increasing here. I think we want to see a little bit more for a trade there. BON, we've traded this one before. Bon, this one is now curling at the bottom here. Is he saying Archer has news?
Nice.
Archer holding at about $10 here. Here is your news on Archer. Archer begins its test flight in Abu Dhabi. Archer's Midnight eVTOL completes its first test flight in Abu Dhabi, evaluating VTOL performance in harsh UAE conditions as part of a commercial launch plan. Okay.
And Joby just delivered its first air taxi to the United Arab Emirates in last month. So competition's heating up.
Okay. That's what's moving here in the pre-market. NAMM, this continues to come in, and now we're open. Now we are open. Here's MOGO. This is one of the big ones that we had there. One of the big movers with the Bitcoin treasury strategy. Looks like we did not quite pull back to the VWAP.
All right, let's see what Mogo gives us. Mogo is looking for that 350. There's a seller right there trying to keep the price down. We take him out. I think we go to 4. Tesla dropping after all that wonderful news this morning.
I see some Tesla 300 puts bought right out of the open here. Also seeing some 315 calls. Those are 100 contract order plus, or 100 plus contracts on each of those orders.
CYN got to some of those pre-market levels as highs. Didn't hit the high, but got pretty close. Pulling off of that, but still holding above VWAP. If we can continue to hold above 1550, I think we could see the other side of 16 again.
Okay. Tesla here looks like short-term traders there taking profits on this dip, but so far it's getting bought. We're actually holding VWAP post this move.
Just kind of hanging in there. DAIC, one of the ones we're looking at this morning.
Sorry, Netflix is pulling back. Apple is pulling back. PanW continues to pull back after losing 200 yesterday. So some of the rotation out of those tech names still going on, it looks like. Maybe we'll see them continue to rotate into consumer staples. Jay, you were talking about rotation earlier. What were you seeing out there? Tesla actually losing its VWAP at the moment.
Cypher tried to, okay, so that Cypher mining, that down to the 65 EMA, came back up and recaptured VWAP. Let's see if it can get back up to the 560 high that it was starting to put in. Okay, it lost VWAP again, so just got to wait for that one. CYN, this is still trying to break back into 16. This still looks like one of the better ones for the time being. ELWS, that hasn't really done a whole lot out of the gate except go down, but it is recapturing at 65 EMA. We just have to just be a little patient with some of these.
Nope.
DAIC, the SPAC one, that went down to 812. That's trying to turn positive. Be very, very careful with that.
Yeah, that is trying to bounce here, but I agree with you, 13. That is definitely one that you want to be careful with. Mm-hmm. Seeing some more Tesla calls come in now, so maybe buyers trying to hold that up here. Also seeing some more Palantir calls. Palantir popping out of the gate. Jay, you had mentioned that Hood, the dip, appears to be getting bought in Hood again.
And CYN really looks like it wants 16, and there it goes. CYN got 16. Let's see if it can push higher. 1638 is the pre-market high.
Netflix is bouncing here. Looks like Apple is bouncing. So it looks like some of that tech dip is getting bought at least early on. We'll see if that continues throughout the course of the day. Tesla continuing to trade down here as it loses 310. Congrats to anybody that played Tesla overnight, by the way. Good stuff there. Here goes CYN.
Nice. Yeah, it keeps getting in and out of the 16 handle. That was a slightly higher print than what the candle was providing just before we opened here, but still not higher than the 1638 pre-market high that we were getting at 7:45 this morning.
VOR getting a mention here. This was another one from yesterday and the day before. VOR popping here out of the gate.
GRY
is actually above. Sorry, 13. This is actually above that pre-market range there. Which one were you looking at?
I was just looking at GRYP. That one losing its 200 EMA. This is the one we drew the trend line for. So that one not having a great morning yet. Maybe this goes all the way down to where it was trading in the just before we closed yesterday, before it finds support. There's also some support at about 105. Maybe it gets it there too. But if we lose $1, I think we're going to want to just look at something else. Wait for that to come back above if it does at all.
Okay, yeah, this definitely pulling here.
Mogo, this looks like it could continue to go lower. There might be some support at VWAP, which I have at 293. But the MACD is indicating that this could end up trading, a lot lower. Maybe there's going to be some more support around 225 as we were kind of consolidating around there earlier this morning before we got the next leg up that took us to 4. So if we continue to go lower in Mogo and it loses VWAP, I think the next support could be down around that 225 area.
Okay, CIFR getting called by the group here. Like maybe that's moving up.
Yep, that bounce off the 65 EMA and recapture looking pretty good. Got to break through that 550 area. There's a large seller there. Need to see the volume increase a little bit more. CYN, that could not hold up. That lost VWAP, and it's coming down towards the 65 EMA. That value is at 1414. GRYP also going lower. ELWS, that's trying to push higher. Has several levels to chew through. You got the $3 level, which it's trying to take right now, 313 and 327.
Okay, good stuff there.
Mogo trying to turn around.
It's trying to bounce off that 313 area there on Mogo.
We're getting a mention of LIXT. That has just pushed above its pre-market high.
Watch the intraday highs from yesterday at 153.
Was just going to mention that. Thank you very much. That's 153, 154. Just basically, if we get above 150, where there is a for the relative size of these shares being traded, 150 seems to have the largest amount of sellers right now.
Apple, more new highs here, 211 now, as Apple completely reversing from that initial pull. Also seeing some options getting bought here on Apple. One thing that they talked about, this was actually on Fast Money yesterday. I believe it was Katie Stockton who was showing how you have a 215 neckline here and a breakout of a potential triangle on Apple. She said that move measures to 238-ish.
Lixt is breaking out 169 now, the high 170. Let me see if we can get an idea of where this goes. Looks like there's going to be okay. So we have a potential gap fill coming up. That'll be if we can get to $2. Looks like this might halt here, LIXT. And if we do halt, then I would anticipate. Okay, there it is, halted now. I would anticipate that this tries for $2 out of the halt. And if it does, there's a gap fill from that $2 area all the way up to looks like, excuse me 1 second, 120. I'm sorry, 228. So it could get a nice 28-cent burst there on that one. LIXT. Thank you for that call out there.
Yep, Tuna's all over it.
Yep,
Tuna is all over it. Wiss here asking me thoughts on the new IPO CV. That's that Capso Vision, right? I don't know what this is, to be honest. Yeah, Capso Vision. I have no idea what this is. Let's see if we have a blurb about what the company does. A commercial stage medical technology enterprise that innovates, manufactures, and markets endoscopic video imaging devices focused on internal imaging of the GI system. Okay. So this is important. I don't know what this means for a stock, though. I don't have any line on this. Really quickly here, I meant to get to the story, but we actually ran out of time. I did kind of tease a potential upcoming IPO. Sorry, let me get the platform and a chart that actually has a chart here. Mogo, by the way, approaching the high end of the range after you talked about that basing there. So real quick here, I'll give you the article. I won't spend too much time on this, but the IPO that I am interested in is Figma. All right, so Figma targets a Wall Street debut after a $20 billion Adobe deal collapse. The reason I'm interested in this is because I think that this is going to have a lot of uses as AI starts to proliferate. We actually already use this here at Benzinga to mock up a bunch of different things that we're doing for whatever product it is that we're doing. So I would expect this to be a pretty followed and subscribed IPO. I am waiting for this one. Again, we couldn't really cover this here today. We ran out of time. There's no date for this yet that I saw in here. But this is absolutely one that I'm watching. Here's the link for that if you want to read into that. So sorry, Wis, long answer to your question there. I don't have any line on ticker CV. I am interested in Figma whenever that's available.
DAIC continuing to move up, approaching $10. $10 typically is the SPAC price that it hangs out at until until the merger happens, unless there's volatility or excitement behind the actual merger. You'll see it typically trade higher, but this merger's already happened. So $10, that could be an area you see selling or a breakout.
CYN here retesting that 16 area as it tries to move higher.
Yep.
Home Depot, a little bit of a dip there out of the open, but that looks like it's getting bought. NBIS, we haven't seen Chris in a bit. Maybe he's on a summer vacation. I know this NBIS has been a really good back and forth trader stock for some of our group. I'm pretty sure the story trading folks are in this one. Nice little move here this morning right out of the open.
CYN, new highs, 1650. Breaking over the pre-market high, pulling back a little bit now. Cypher, this is getting pulled down to the 65 EMA. Might find some support down at about 1550. Yeah, CYN, here we go. This was the one we were liking. All right. How much time do we have left on LIXT? Let's see. This halted at what? I don't think it.
Tell you what. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I am seeing a lot of options trading on a lot of these tech names: Apple, Tesla, Palantir, MicroStrategy, AMD. There was another one in here. We talked about NVIDIA, SoFi, SMCI is on there. So a lot of option trading in here. Apple is the one that is the most liquid here. Apple continuing to push new highs now too, 211. I'm sorry, 13. I just wanted to mention that from what I was seeing.
What kind of options mostly you're seeing?
Just aggressive 100+ contract trades here. I guess some of these are sweeps and some of them are trades if you really want to get technical, but all of these seem aggressive to me.
Do you see the okay, so I'm looking at a Q's 5-minute chart, the QQ, and it seems that this 544, 544.50 or so area, that's been over the past 4 trading sessions a bottom. You might have to zoom out some more to see.
I'm sorry, that it was kind of fragmented there. What are you saying the bottom is?
I said for over the past 4 trading sessions, that 544.50 area has been the bottom. So if you look past the past 4 trading sessions.
Yep, right here.
Yeah. And that does kind of look a little bit bearish if we cannot recapture the highs.
So producer here is saying, do you think people are buying the Anthropic rumor on Apple? I asked about that yesterday. Didn't seem like people were very hot on that. But again, I wanted to mention the fast money traders really focused on Apple yesterday. And one of the theses was that this 215, a move above 215, might send this close to 240. And it looks like folks are lining up for that one.
Okay, so LIXT unhalted. That blasted off to 214. I don't know if we got.
My.
I don't think that's the gap fill. No, that's not until about 225. But pretty dang close either way. Some of these other names. NAMM, the Namib Minerals one that got halted to the upside. So that's currently in a halt, still beneath the VWAP and the 65 EMA, but very close to the 65 EMA now. Some of these
really quick here. Midnight Hammer asking if the Apple and Perplexity merger that was floated by someone inside Apple. Perplexity didn't receive anything on that. And again, I'm sorry, 13, for interrupting here. I couldn't get to everything. Izzy's saying, Ryan, calls or puts? What I'm referring to here, it's mostly calls, but frankly, there's a mixture here. A lot of these tech names, you're seeing short dated calls. So a lot of those Apple, those 212.5 Apple sweeps are calls that expire tomorrow.
There's a CYN. I guess I just drew a little bit of a trend line here using the 705 and 745 highs. And that trend line takes us pretty close to where the price is topping out at right now. So maybe about 1670 is about where we would be looking at with this current candle. If we can get above that and break out here, it might trade even better. But currently looking at that as a resistance area.
This does look like this wants to go. Smoke Tuna saying the same thing here.
Yeah.
It looks like this one wants to go. Okay, I'm going to leave this on screen 13 for a sec. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll be right back, buddy.
Sounds good. All right. So in the meantime, we have some of these other movers still trying to turn back around here. It looks like Cypher got demolished there, but still hasn't hit its 200 EMA yet. If it does, that might be a reversal area. If not there, maybe $5. LIXT still hanging out here in, just beneath $2. Waiting to see if that can go higher. There's a seller at $2 that's currently keeping the price down. But if enough volume comes in and takes that out, we could see 225 again. Tesla kind of consolidating after dropping out of the open here, so need to see some direction on that. ELWS still trading lower. Probably going to come down to the 200 EMA. If not there, one of the earliest levels that could have a bounce is about 250, about 16 cents away from that. What else do we got here? Mogo kind of consolidating. Mogo might not have any dojo. Well, we'll see here because right now it's not looking too great, but if it's still holding above VWAP, so if that VWAP can hold up, then there might be a chance for this to turn around. But otherwise, if we lose that VWAP, I agree, and that means that I think that the price will end up coming down to about 225 before it comes to the next support area. What's that?
MOGO. Okay, mm-hmm. I was trying to figure out which stock you were referring to based on the price levels that you were giving. Atlas here, Lion Atlas, 210 calls expiring July 18. Okay, so that's like a 2-week short-term trade on Apple. I'll tell you what, just again, I'm still just kind of looking at this. 212.5. This is the ones that expire the 11th. So that's what, Wednesday of next week. Seeing a lot of these. These are definitely short-term. Here's some September ones, 220 September calls. Looks like a lot of bets here to the upside on Apple. Now it is moving to the upside. We actually just took out 212. I like the question earlier about whether or not people are buying the Anthropic rumor, or whatever rumor, the upgraded AI. Anyway.
LAXT gap fill. And still pushing higher.
Wow, what a mover here on LIXT. Smoke Tuna getting it done yet again. Smoke Tuna, was this on the AI list or was this just a mover that you identified here this morning?
Now I'm keeping an eye on the SQQQ and the TQQQ for any extended moves away from their VWAP or not. The TQQQ is certainly getting extended away. Not too extended, but it's getting there. Not within our range yet. DAIC over 10, still pushing higher, coming up to the 65 EMA.
ATAI, this pretty much at yesterday's intraday highs, was also coincide with the pre-market high. VRNA puts getting bought, repeat put buys here. VRNA, Verona Pharma.
LIXT, that is still trading higher.
Looking halted.
Yep, it's halted. Looking for $3 would be the next area I'd be searching for. Maybe 250 first, but $3. That was a high from February. So I think that the next spot I'd be looking for is $3 there. Meanwhile, we have CIFR getting some support from the 200 EMA. We'll have to see if there's a turnaround happening there. CYN still holding above its VWAP. GRYP, after the drop out of the gate at the open, that's trying to recover. ELWS still trending lower, not seeing much of a recovery yet, but we are getting down to that 250 area where we were getting support in the pre-market after the first impulse move. NAM is open, NAMM. That's still beneath the 65 EMA. Appears that there's a seller at 1050 that's keeping it down. But if it gets through that, I think VUF would be the next spot we'd want to look at. That's at 1171. Mogo has a no-go. This thing continuing to go lower. 225 is the next area of support that I see. DAIC, this is continuing to push higher. Just be careful with this one if you're going to trade it. This is the SPAC. And what else?
Ryan, Izzy saying, Ryan, I gave Amazon pre-market. Sorry, man, I missed that. What did you say? What was the call to action there on Amazon? Amazon is actually having a nice morning out of the open because it was dipping pretty good in the pre-market. This has been straight up out of the open, but it's only about a point. I'm not sure what the entry trigger was there on Amazon other than it was just down.
I saw some folks mentioning that Microsoft was firing some Xbox division workers, begin deep job cuts across Xbox division. Okay. To lay off 9,000 employees. So there's AI taking jobs right in front of you there.
Jay saying, well, no one guessed my China trivia. Sorry, bro. LKNCY, is that Luckin Coffee?
It looks like it could be Luckin Coffee.
So I think he said that was one of the best performers recently. I'll stay away from that. Mike says, did you turn up the volume? On what? On my golf speaker, I did. Yeah. We're out there rocking. Yeah. I have no idea what you mean, Mike. I'm sorry. All right. What else here? Yeah, AEHR. So this was a story trading name, huh? AEHR. They have earnings tonight. I actually traded this for earnings. This was several quarters ago, and it was a huge winner. Actually, I think it was right in here. I think it was that December quarter. In any case, I don't know what to expect here for earnings on this one, but this is actually a pretty good one. And I'll tell you something. The option chain on this is pretty liquid. Is that still the case? Yeah, option chain on this is plenty liquid, so you should easily be able to trade this here for earnings.
DAIC is halted to the upside. Out of the halt, I'd be looking at a resistance area at about 1330. Looks like CYN is coming back, trying to recapture some of these highs it just put in earlier this morning. We've got some sellers trying to walk it back down. So this thing's going to be a little volatile this morning, but it is still trying to hang above its VWAP.
Mike says you just randomly got loud in my headphones. Maybe it is the AirPods freaking out. You know, depending on which way I turn my head, I think depends on how the microphone picks that up. So maybe that was me. I'll try and do a better job of that. Also, really quickly, C Boogie is asking about AMD calls. Who's still in AMD? I know this is one that we've talked about. Here's what I have. Here's my complete list of unusual options that are 100 contracts or more in a single transaction. These are all categorized as aggressive, but I'm not sure that there's anything I can derive from looking at this. We basically have puts at the 135, 134 level and calls at the 140 level. So if we look at a chart here on AMD, it looks like we're basically just trading where the price is here, trading around there. I don't know that there's anything I can take away from the data that I'm seeing here. This little bit of a pullback after a monster move higher. 13, didn't you have a level on AMD recently?
I've got multiple levels.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we've talked about this one together. Let me see if my chart's going to, no, it's working. Shout out developers. They really did get that fixed in pretty short order. Yeah, it's the 500. This is what I thought. I just don't have the chart memorized. It's sitting basically right on the 500 here. So as far as a trade goes, I can see why we're getting this. The options haven't shown one way or another if more people are betting the breakout or the breakdown, but realistically, this is what we're looking at here. Trade this against 135. If we're going to hold 135, we're likely going to go higher here. We're almost certainly going to test 150.
Yeah, my other levels for AMD are also 133 and 128.
Okay. 133 and 128 down the. Okay, and look, that 128, that's right at your 20-day moving average there. So, okay. So AMD, I can't take anything away from that, but this to me looks like a normal, healthy move here, right? We're basically back testing the 500 after a pretty good move higher.
LIXT getting hammered all of a sudden. What is this? This looks like the kind of thing you'd see from an offering. Well, they had an offering news yesterday. Did that complete? Is that done, or is this what we're seeing now? Halted to the downside.
Yeah, I don't think this is what we're seeing now. We had that news this morning when this thing popped.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was wondering if we were going to see this again, Rustam. First of all, I'm glad to see you. Just to be very clear, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you brought this up here today. Yesterday, I gave you the business about OSRH because you had brought this up when nothing was happening. There was really no news or anything that's going on. Now my chart's going to decide not to work. Rustam, give me a sec. Okay, here. So we're going to address this. So this gapping up here again today, the volume on this is pitiful. There's really nothing going on here. But and this is what I was trying to get across yesterday. What is the catalyst for this? What is the reason we should look at the stock? I didn't have anything yesterday. The more I thought about it throughout the course of the day, we saw BMNR move. So this had a blockchain based token very much like BMNR, and that was kind of the relation. Let me know if I'm tracking the right way here. Again, I didn't have any of this information yesterday. I didn't know why you wanted to take a look at this. It seems like you think that this might be a sympathy play off BMNR. Let me know if that's correct. If that's the case, then I understand it. If you had mentioned that yesterday, I would have been more receptive to that. So let me know if I'm getting that right. Let me know if I'm getting that right. Yeah.
Thank you for the mention, Crow. DIAC is open, still trading above the 65 EMA. Next resistance I mentioned earlier was 1330. Could see some resistance at 13, but 1330 is the spot that I like the most. We're getting looks like CYN was trying to turn around there. CIFR continuing lower. LIXT still halted. GRYP this is trying to rebound. Looks like we briefly went under $1. Came back up, still holding above $1, but we have a large wall of sellers at 120. NAMM still pushing up, trying to make its way through the 65 EMA. It's currently above that. VWAP I have at 1136.
I actually just heard something fall, so give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
The cat is attacking. All right, folks, what else are we looking at here? Soundhound is cruising, says Izzy. SOUN. That is up over 4%. Looking for 11. Looks like we briefly hit 11 this morning. Trying to push back up there again. We're on the doorstep of 11. BKKT says Smoke Tuna. This wasn't this one that we traded last week, or we talked about this one yesterday because this used to be involved with DJT, I believe, right? DJT was gonna merge with them or do something with them, and then they had to call it off last year. I believe that was the case. This is BKKT that I was just looking at.
Okay, we got asked about that last night. Interestingly enough,
that's what I was saying. Yeah, we were getting asked about that one, and that's what we were talking about. That it was formerly involved with DJT. That deal fell through, so lower it went. Now we're just we're seeing what else is happening here. I'm not exactly sure. Looks like they have an offering on the table. So don't know that I'd be. Well, I was from June 27th. That was last Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Did this end up happening or not? Let's see.
What a spike, though.
It did. So that's already out of the way. And we do have some pretty high short interest as well. So nice move here in BKKT.
New mic, Ryan. Your voice sounded more sonorous. Sonorous? I don't even know what that word means. Damn, I got to look that up. No, this is the same. This is the exact same microphone that I've always used.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah, just I guess I tried to inhale some spit. Anyway, CYN continuing to try to push back into the 16 handle, continues to get rejected, but still holding above VWAP for now. CIFR deciphering all the gains it made. Looks like we have Mogo trying to turn around, recapture VWAP. Tesla testing the 65 EMA now. That puts it almost back down to where the pre-market highs were. So watch for some support to come in Tesla. We might end up getting some if it gets down to underneath 305. Now, CYA. I'm being told that CYA is the one we need to look at.
Are you sure it's not telling you to cover your ass?
No. Oh, I see. Is that what you mean? MC Midnight, cover my ass.
See a 13.
Or is he saying buy? You guys got to be careful with these.
Yeah, this is. Look, I don't tell you guys to not type in caps just because I'm a weirdo. It's literally difficult to understand what you're saying. Please reserve all caps for tickers only.
All right,
Izzy, please.
And if you mean CYN, then yes, that one is now back over 16. Would love to see some movement up into the 17 handle. That'd be nice. LIXT turning around.
Jade. Oh.
Acronym salad, yeah. And salad is a lunch item, so I am not interested in that for now. Here we go. CYN. Give it to us. Let's make a new high here. Current high is 1663. That was back from 945 about 15 minutes ago.
LIXT trying to test its VWAP on maybe a second move towards the intraday high there at 242. That would actually be a pretty decent move if it ended up going through there. I don't know if it's got the strength to do that. It's kind of backing off now. Tesla, by the way, almost round tripping that whole move. 13. Did you ring the register on your overnight trade there? On Tesla?
Yeah, at the open, yeah. Didn't capture the big move because pre-market, but it's fine. This was a lot. Like I said, it was a lottery ticket, and I didn't win Mega Millions, but I walked home with some pocket change.
Okay, well, hey, any change is good.
It just was like, well, maybe it could, maybe it couldn't. We'll see. So I just picked up a little bit, and it did what it did, and that's fine. But LIXT, this one trying to get back over the VWAP and recapture $2 all in the same breath. CIFR, it looks like that selling may have slowed down for the time being. It is turning around after hitting 499. CYN, this is still trying to push up to that trend line that I drew earlier. Do want to caution that Smoke Tuna said CYN might flush. So here we go with that break over that trend line. Watch for, this is probably a really good spot to start unwinding your trade here, unless you have another target in mind you think this could go. Just be careful with these.
CYN, this is a breakout above the highs there. I think 17 test is coming here.
Yeah, looks like it. But remember, we're getting a caution that this could also flush. So let's be smart about these trades.
Lion here mentioning Centene, excuse me, ticker CNC. Centene shares are trading lower after the company withdrew its previous 2025 GAAP and adjusted diluted EPS guidance, including the underlying guidance elements. So my question here is, where's the buy spot on CNC? Or isn't there one? Because I'm not thrilled about chasing short a minus 37% move. Good Lord, what's wrong with me? I'm not going to chase this move lower here, but this sounds like really, really bad news. Anyone got anything on CNC? Is that one that we should trade? Look at this, man. Looks like the next leg down starting right now.
Okay, so remember how we were talking about the fraud that was uncovered with government healthcare plans or government-sponsored healthcare plans? I wonder if that has anything to do with this, because this is a company that focuses on government-sponsored healthcare plans. So I haven't, I don't know anything about this, but I'm just kind of, connecting some dots here.
I also had a number of downgrades here today. JP Morgan downgrading it to neutral, lowers the price target to 48. UBS downgrade, price target to 45. Cantor maintains overweight, but lowers the price target to 65.
Jay Rice took OSCR, MOH, UNH, and a few others with it.
Now, UNH, that was actually bouncing earlier, wasn't it? Let's take a look here. This is still down almost 3%.
CYN pushing higher into the 17 handle. Fantastic move.
Yeah, this
one.
This did try the 13. UNH did try to bounce here, but it got completely smacked, returned back to the right back to the lows there. Okay. Sorry, 13, get in there. I feel like I'm screwing up today.
So Diamond is saying that CYN might see 20. So we'll see if we end up getting that. We just back tested the trend line that we drew earlier. 1720 is now the high. Maybe it does go to 20, but I still think that we need to be careful with these. Just given the week that we're in, we're going to have a long weekend. Don't want anybody getting trapped in these. Just trade to how you're planning. Everything should be fine. Just make sure you're not leaving a position out on the table that's going to get hammered. GRYP, that's not doing anything. CYN still 1720. There's a seller there trying to keep it from going higher. CIFR still trying to turn around. What else is? How's Mogo? Mogo still looks like that's going lower. It did get some support around 256. That was about the high from 825 this morning in the pre-market. Still think that the 65 EMA is possible. That's going to put it about 220. So we'll see if we get support there. Biotech is popping. Yeah, it seems like a lot of that rate news, or that Powell was speaking on yesterday. That's probably what we're seeing here with a lot of these names. We saw the IWM rise yesterday. We're seeing solar rise. That's very rate sensitive. Biotechs tend to be rate sensitive, being that they have to raise capital.
I definitely felt like Powell's comments yesterday were dovish.
They were very dovish.
Yeah, that's what I took away from that. Mm-hmm. Jay Rice, I think, had mentioned TAN earlier here as this kind of being surprising. So I guess is there more room to run on some of these solar names?
If if rate cuts are happening, or if people think that rate cuts are happening this year, then I think that there could be more room to run with all these rate sensitive names.
Okay, this actually looks like a pretty awesome chart here. So maybe on the back of that, you have a swing long here on some of those solar names. Midnight Hammer says sonorous is an adjective describing something that produces a deep, rich, and resonant sound. I should know what that is, given my voice then, huh, Midnight? Nice trade there on Amazon, Izzy. What else did I miss here?
We are, Thanks for the mention, Joseph Schmo. He's saying that Tesla bounced from the 305, like I said. So that consolidation area that we were seeing in the pre-market, that provided some support. Turning around here, hasn't recaptured VWAP yet. So let's see how well this turnaround shakes out. But looking good for now. CYN back underneath 17, but still holding above some of the earlier session highs. What's up?
Midnight Hammer said he used Perplexity. I thought he was just kind of poking me because I've been talking about how much I like Perplexity recently, and he was able to define a word by using it, which is what I should have done. Adobe here. This is a good pull. Billy mentioning this is getting pulled here. It's down 4.3%. Do we have any news on Adobe that is affecting this?
I don't know, but if there is news, it's probably in a PDF.
Lol. Figma targets Wall Street debut after the $20 billion Adobe deal collapses. So is this moving on that Figma deal, doing its own thing?
When a deal collapses, Isaac is asking that we look at IINN.
They had news, I think, IINN. We can come back to Adobe if you guys have anything else on that. I'm interested in that. Here is IINN. We did have news here, 13. Secured $22.5 million binding purchase order for FDA cleared ART 100 systems.
Okay, so is this it's a medical device company? Okay. Let's see here. If I can see anything that is interesting in this company. The cash. No read on their income statement, so that's a little sketchy. Float just under 25 million.
I've got an income statement if you switch it to annual.
Annual, okay.
But it's not great. It's not great. Minus 11 million on net income. So I don't know.
Well, it's trading. It's holding above VWAP for the moment, and it's maybe if it falls underneath VWAP, then there's better loading up area. But I don't know about this one. If we do lose VWAP, it's likely going to go back under $1. So as long as it holds VWAP, it might still provide a good trade.
I feel like this is going to need to do some type of capital raise with only 5 million on the balance sheet and it losing money every year. To me, it sure seems like they're going to need to do some type of raise there. Noticing that Edit is on the scanner here. So again, those gene editors, this is actually a pretty good move just today on ticker EDIT.
Tesla still rising, looking to recapture VWAP. That's at 309.47, at least mine is. BBAI getting mentioned. Hey, no problem, Isaac.
Nothing new in there.
And for the big bear hug, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get your money. Dollar bills, y'all. I heard a song before. BBAI up 6%, looking for 710. That is right in the middle of the consolidation we were getting. Looks like yesterday, I think. Let me see here. So yeah, that so in the pre-market into the open yesterday, we were kind of going back and forth, consolidating at about $7. As a median of the price action. Lost it all out of the gate, and now we're coming back up to that $7 area. So 720 appears to be a level that it needs to get over to trade higher. If you draw a line at 720, you can see that even going back to
June which
30th,
ticker? I was doing something totally different.
This is BBAI. If you look at the 5-minute chart and you look at 720, going back to June 30th, that was a resistance area. It was a resistance area yesterday, and it's going to be a resistance area today. Whether or not that resistance gets broken depends on the volume. Here we go. CYN getting hammered. This is what Smoked Tuna warned about.
When you mentioning that there was news there on RKT, there was some squawk there. Let's check out what that was. Rocket Company is getting pop here. They're tweeting from Citron Research, quoting a Barron's report. So this is bullish. This was a let me see if I can find the Citron tweet there on Rocket. Rocket now plus 1.35% here. This actually not taking off, and the volume not great on that. It did pop a little bit, but
it's still trading right now. It's still trading at the highs from yesterday, so that's encouraging. Looks like just going back to some of these movers, IINN, that is still holding above VWAP despite trading beneath it briefly. Let's see if it can continue to hold above VWAP. LIXT, that's seemingly trying to turn around. I don't know if it's going to be able to hold the 155 that it's been getting support from. It is beneath the VWAP. CIFR, that's trying to turn around after hitting $5. We'll have to see if that can end up doing it. Needs to recapture VWAP and a 65 EMA. Those are about 523. Both of them are 523 right now. CYN, after hitting 720, getting a couple of red candles here, knifing through the VWAP, coming down to the 65 EMA. Same thing with Mogo. That's making its way down to the 65 EMA.
Here's that Citron quote, by the way. Citron basically tweeted on Rocket, this is ticker RKT, I loved this quote from Brad in Barron's Rocket Research Tech Moves and Acquisitions. Quote, Rocket has the potential to be the single most disruptive company in the history of residential real estate, end quote. The U.S. housing market is a $45 trillion asset class, larger than the entire U.S. stock market. As mortgage rates ease and with the White House turning up the pressure to get even lower rates, Rocket is in the perfect spot. AI times housing times massive pent-up demand times pro-rate cut administration equals explosive upside. Remember, Rocket, high short interest as well.
Seems like Citron is saying to get with the times.
That's exactly what it seems like.
DAIC? DAIC? Or do you mean DIAC?
DIAC is what they mean.
Okay. Now you're talking about hitting 500. It's not hitting $500, but if there's a moving average that's 500, I don't have that on here, so you'll have to tell me if that's what it is that you're seeing, because we are still trying for that 1330 that I mentioned earlier. And here we go with IINN, trying to continue to push up away from the VWAP to the session high of 114. If it was anyone other than Citron, I might believe that. And Jay Rice, to your point, Citron has been the biggest pumper for rocket companies lately. It seems like the real big moves only come on off the heels of the a tweet or some kind of news that Citron puts out. So, to your point.
And I mean, the thing's only trading up by 1.6%. So you could even make the case that it's not really reacting to that. BMNR getting a mention here. This pretty much at the pre-market level. It is up by 11% here, but nothing compared to what we've seen over the past couple of sessions. So GRYP, Griffin, this is diving into the ground. This thing looks done.
So DAIC did hit that 1330, did print it even higher at 1348. We'll see if it can continue to push higher. Here we go. Trying to get through the consolidation here from, what is this, about 1360 to, let's call it 1540. Don't know if we're going to end up seeing that, but it's still looking pretty good for now. Just remember, this is the SPAC. This is, I don't press this. Like I said, could get some moves out of this. We did get 1330. Just be careful. Don't hold a bag going into the holiday weekend. Just all I'm saying.
Yeah. Don't do that. Enjoy your holiday weekend. And as a reminder, I had forgotten about this. I should have been on this all week. Tomorrow is a half day.
Yes.
Tomorrow is a half day. So 13 and I, we're going to be with you for almost the entire thing. We're going right to 11. The market closes at 1, I believe. So it's going to be a half day tomorrow. No trading on Friday. It'll be an interesting day, but we'll be trading for most of that. By the way, just taking a look at the market here, proving to continue to be resilient. Market, what is going on with this entry here? Market continuing to trade higher off that weak pre-market low that we got after the ADP print. Just recapturing 618 and a half would be a level to keep an eye on. The Citron guy isn't wrong with the vision, but will Wall Street support the vision without getting bored over time is to be determined. I think we'll see how fast those rate cuts come too. It seems like that's going to be a core tenet of that thesis.
Yep.
All the miners are on, be it the BTC Disciples, Mara, Riot, CLSK. I think Hut was on there. BT, I think I saw on the scanner earlier too. Maybe not anymore, but I'm pretty sure I saw that earlier there.
We're still getting some nice movement out of Tesla. This is the third green candle off of that reversal from 305. So following the end of this candle, we could see the price come in maybe a little bit. It is above VWAP, so that's what I'd be watching for, is whether or not we lose VWAP. But following these three candles, typically we will get a little bit of selling. Rocket now pushing up higher. This is looking for 15, it seems. Cypher also trying to move back up after bouncing off of $4.99, $5. Looking for VWAP, that's at 522. LIXT continuing to go lower. IINN, that seems to be getting a little weak. Volume seems to be evaporating a bit here, but it is still above the VWAP.
Real quick, Joe is saying, Ryan, could you tell us which real estate stocks you like best when rates are cut? Yes, I can. So first of all, the ones that I like are not going to be an inclusive list. It's not necessarily going to be right or wrong. Obviously, Rocket, I'm already long that one. That is a play on interest rates coming in. And remember, those are March calls. So we got plenty of time on that trade. Other housing stocks that I like when rates are cut, Zillow, ticker Z. I think you're going to see a big move there in Z. And I do like some of the home builders that we've been talking about. I would lean towards Toll Brothers because they serve mostly the luxury market. And I have a pretty good track record of trading Toll in the past, ticker TOL. So I would say those three I'd put at the top of my list. RKT, Z, and TOL. That's a mortgage company, a real estate agent company, and a home builder. How about you, 13? What are some of the, I know Rocket for you, you're also bullish on. I think you also said United Wholesale Mortgage, but what else is on your list, 13?
I haven't really been putting together a list. It's just been, Rocket and United Wholesale. United Wholesale in particular because they have a great dividend, and ever since August last year, they've been selling off pretty steeply, which has helped increase that yield. And I think a lot of these mortgage companies are going to end up doing well as a result of housing coming back, and we do have much better levels of inventory, and demand still seems to be there. But once the buyers and sellers have stopped being locked in deadlocked in a stalemate here, we should see housing start to sales start to pick up. I think it might be the rate cuts that do it, but I think sellers are going to have to kind of be a little bit less stubborn, and buyers are looking for turnkey homes, so they may need to have a reality check as well. But we're not quite there yet. I am still bullish on housing though. DIC is still continuing to push up here, making its way through that consolidation. I know I've been talking down about this one, being that it is a SPAC or a former SPAC. Just don't want anybody to get hurt, but it has been trading phenomenally this morning. Got to think that now that we've been chewing our way through this this consolidation from the pre-market, the next area that I think that we could see some resistance is going to be at about 1540.
Jeff asking, what are your Rocket calls? So full disclosure here, the Rocket calls that I am long, and this is a full position at this point, the March 2026 15 calls. Now be careful. I don't think you should just follow me just because of these are the calls that I'm telling you about. I entered these. I paid, my cost basis for all of these is $150. The current bid is $255. So this is what? That's what, 77% higher than where it's at. So I wouldn't necessarily chase here. Frankly, if I were looking to play this via options, I would probably start nibbling on calls that are a little bit further out, maybe that May expiry, and that maybe a little bit higher strike to try and control my risk. That way, if Rocket comes back in, you can either open up a new position in a different strike and expiry, or maybe even add to your own if you think that target is feasible. As far as the actual number, the way that we picked that, we did a lot of discussing with Rocket back and forth on Happy Hour, and we also did it on this show. We had identified a couple of key levels here on the daily chart, 15 and 18, if I'm not mistaken. Shoot, I have them on my other chart. Am I right on that? 15 and 18? Are those the two that we have? You and I have the same levels, 13.
15 is what we want to see next. 16 is the actual price
Here
that
we
we
go.
want to break, because back in March and April this year, that was the area we were topping out at. We had a triple top at 16, so you need to get over 16, and then of course the IPO price $18 is after that.
Okay, so 15 is the strike that we chose for this. When we bought this, it was in like a 13 handle. So I picked an out of the money but close strike there. And now we're in the money, or thereabouts, 5 cents away from being in the money here. Here are your two key levels that we're looking for. We're not even thinking about taking gains until we get closer to the expiry or until we start breaking above 18. And remember, with the short interest that this stock has, it's possible that one day we just have a squeeze and we see 20 plus. Ryan Couch says, thank you for another green day. CYN was good to me again. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, Ryan. Great name on you out there. Really awesome stuff.
And great furniture.
Couch is one of my favorite things. You're right about that.
Yep.
Izzy mentioning BBAI. What's going on with BBAI?
Nick, it's speculation mostly. But there are some quantum companies that are trying to pull in some revenue here as well. And it's okay. So let me put it to you this way. It's not all theory. There's actually some real quantum computing happening. Let me put it to you this way. You know how the current AI environment that we're in is not generative AI, but it's still strong enough to produce financial results, to be profitable. We're doing pretty close to the same thing with quantum. We're not even anywhere near where we are with AI yet, but I think AI is going to accelerate the development of quantum, and we are going to be starting to use quantum on not the logic gate side. I believe it's annealing. So I think we're much closer than people like Pharma Bro think, which I'm sure he's getting his ass handed to him from his terrible calls on these quantum stocks. So I wouldn't pay attention to people like him, but I would just know that this is a lot of this is speculation, and some of it is that we are seeing some strides towards this being a part of businesses that are useful and will generate returns.
I think you're going to see a lot of quantum back and forth before it's actually here to stay.
Right, and we're seeing. That's my point. We're seeing a lot of back and forth with AI, and generative AI isn't here yet either. But look at all the billions. I'm sorry, look at all the trillions that are being spent to make generative AI happen. We're still early to this thing on both AI and quantum, I think. Yeah.
Take care of yourself, Lion.
Take care, Lion. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to start pouring money into it, trying to get ahead of when it does become our reality.
I would say this is basically how I would sum it up. These are great stocks to watch, and actually probably good stocks to trade, especially when they're volatile. I mean, we've talked about a number of different trades here. Look what Rigetti's doing today. We talked about Adam Mesh, who made a damn fortune from the T3 guys on a lot of these quantum names. So there's not. You can definitely trade these things, but I'm thinking that the big move, like when quantum computing actually becomes a thing, I do still think I won't even put a number on it. I'll just say several years away. You take that for whatever it's worth. And I think that we're not close to the big move in these stocks yet. I think you're going to see some pretty extreme volatility between now and then. Now, I'm not saying that you can't trade them. And I think that there will be a huge move going forward here. You guys are mentioning that the Diddy thing is over. So we're also getting a trade deal struck with Vietnam. I tried to tell you that the other day. Trump tweeting, I just made a trade deal with Vietnam. That's going to be big. In fact, what stocks are responding to that? How's Nike responding to that? Yep.
There we go. I think we had talked a lot about this potentially. Now let's see what else is in Vietnam. Let me see what VinFast is doing. VFS, that's going.
How about Lululemon?
That's going. VFS. Oh man, VFS. This is at the 200-day SMA. This has been up here frequently. Look at the daily chart for VFS. This has been up here frequently, and if this deal is the the real deal, I'd be looking for a breakout of the 200-day SMA. Look at VFS. Okay,
you're getting a lot of pops here. VFS, Lulu, Nike, all of these popping here. And really quickly, just to finish off, there's no trade on this, but just to get this out of the way so we can move on. Diddy's guilty of 2 of the 5 charges, walked on racketeering, trafficking, and hit with the prostitution. So he basically got off on the bigger charges and took the lesser ones. This would be considered a gigantic upset, given what we.
All right, so that means Johnson & Johnson should be going down, right? Because the baby oil sales are going up.
I was trying to not even relate it to stocks, but I suppose we could check on XIII. Oh, that's
look.
fun.
If you're going to bring it up, we got to figure out how we can trade it, and that's the only thing that comes to mind. And Johnson & Johnson isn't really that great for trading. It hasn't been since COVID. So just joking around.
LIXT, this basically retraced its entire move. Skag's done absolutely nothing. What a skag.
God,
it just sounds bad. It doesn't sound good.
No, I need a shower after this now. Wash all the skag off.
Oh, man.
Pinduoduo, anyone's? Asks Ron Rivera. Unless some kind of China deal comes through that allows them to hawk their crap at us again, I'm not sure what to do with Pinduoduo. It's been kind of going sideways for a good portion of almost a year now. I mean, it's been making some lower lows and higher highs, but more or less it's kind of just been going sideways. I just don't know what I want to do with PDD yet. I think a lot of that depends on the trade relations with China, and right now it doesn't seem like they're that great. Manufacturing in China is really slowing down, and lots of companies are shuttering their doors. For me, Pinduoduo is not. I'm not touching it right now. I wouldn't. That's just me though. Don't let me stop you from trading it.
Use one of Kevin's terms. We wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, but an 11-foot pole. Maybe I'll rethink that. VOR here being asked about for levels. This is one that was moving earlier this week. We're actually at a level right now. This was the intraday high from Monday, as well as one of the resistance areas in the pre-market again on Tuesday. So I think you're at resistance right now. Maybe this area extends up to 180. Then the next level after that is going to be this 2 to 204 area on VOR. 140 going to be one of your downside supports.
We also have ELWS recapturing the 65 EMA. So volume's not great, but it's moving up. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yep. And then Hood, you guys are all talking about Hood. That moved to 100. Finally, we're getting it. I know we talked about this one weeks ago. It dipped a little bit. The dip buyers took us right back there. I think you're going to get your 100 print here in the next few minutes. Market continuing to trade higher here. Sorry, 13. Market continuing to trade up here, plus 0.17% on the S&P futures as they are literally hitting their highs as we speak.
Are those new all-time highs?
No. Just highs here for the day. Although we're not far from those all-time highs because I have an well, you know what, 13? Wait a sec. Wait a tick. No.
Good.
Okay. So sorry. Hang on. Let me finish. 619.75 is going to be your all-time high. That was printed this morning, though, in the pre-market. Otherwise, I think your all-time high is 619.13.
I got 619.22 from Monday.
Okay. As long as that's in the regular session, because I've got it bordering right on the close. So I trust your number there. That's going to be your all-time high. Your number.
I'm just going with the same chart we both use in Pro.
Perfect. Perfect. Then I'm looking at a different chart, so you almost certainly have that correct.
Right.
PRME is ripping here. 320 looks to be the spot that stopped it.
Oh, it's Prime Medicine, Optimus Prime Medicine. I don't know what Prime Medicine is, but let's take a look. Let's see here. Up 14% on. Looks like insider buying, possibly, but that's from mostly June. There was some insider buying yesterday with that in the after hours. We also have some pretty good short interest here. Actually, that would be something I'd probably peg this on, is short squeeze. 27% of the float shorted, 9.6 days to cover, and we had insider buying. That's, that seems like some pretty good boxes checked.
BKKT right back to your intraday highs up there. BKKT. Izzy mentioning BBAI still strong here. We ripped through that 720 level. What's the next spot that you have up here? 13 on BBAI?
Let me see.
It's at 8 or 840 or so. I can't remember. I think we talked about it, but I didn't add it to my chart. I won't make that mistake again.
8.
It was 8. Okay.
8. Yep.
Okay.
8 and then 925.
And let me add both of those while we're here. Because if BBAI is going to stay hot, we might as well have those here. 925, you said, no?
Yep. Yes. 8 and 925. Yep.
There you go.
Get Wall Street bets on it for what, Anand? PRME? Is that what
does Wall Street bets still have pull? I know that whole thing during COVID was like a thing, but is that still is it still a thing?
Well, let me put it to you like this. Remember how I talked about what was the word that I used? Conditions. And back in 2020 and 2021, there were certain conditions that led to the meme stock trade or the stomp trade. Mm-hmm. And Wall Street bets was all over that. So that's why we saw the GME and AMC and BB and COS and all these different names run. We had low interest rates. Okay. We had a lot of people with money because of stimulus. Crypto was going. We had a ton of SPACs. So there's a lot of things that are coming back from that era. And the thing that we are missing that's pretty significant is the stimulus. So the fact that we don't have that doesn't, means to me that we're not going to see exactly the same kind of result that we got from 2020, 2021. But the market is still behaving very, very frothy. So, and the low interest rate environment, I think, is one of the biggest boxes that need to be checked to get the kind of price action that was kind of in Wall Street bets wheelhouse. You know what I mean?
Sal here saying, Sal, good to see you again, by the way. I think it's been a while. Thanks for the mention on Nike. Made a nice short play on it. I reached my daily goal. I appreciate both of you. Amazing job considering that this thing is still at the highs here after that. Did it pull back off that initial impulse move? If it did, that just goes to show you that, and a lot of traders do this, especially with Squawk and Benzinga in the Benzinga ecosystem. You get one of those impulse moves, and then right away you try and recapture some of that regression back to the mean. Sal, whatever you did here, good stuff, man. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Absolutely, and Anand has also mentioned the big beautiful bill. Now that could be the stimulus. It's not stimulus, but that we could view it that way because it's basically the government passing out money. That's the way I look at it. So we'll see if we end up getting anything out of that. BBAI, continuing to rip. $8 next target. This thing, look at this puppy go. Let's take a look at some of these other names here. I got to say that Smoke Tuna Call at CYN could pull. That was a great mention because pull did it ever. Down to the 65 EMA it is now. Some of these other names that were getting hammered earlier are coming back. Looks like IINN is tempting to go for the session highs again. It is continuing to get support from VWAP. Looking to move higher here. The current high is 114, and we're not too far away. We're just 3 cents away from breaking that high. Not if you're on Snap. Well, I'm sorry if this sounds like a bit of a smart ass response, but I don't think anybody uses Snap to trade stocks. I guess maybe I'm misunderstanding I'm half understanding and half misunderstanding you thinking about it, but I think I get your point.
Real quick here. Where did I just miss that? Good call here on Hood from all of you folks. I know we've been waiting on this $100 print for some time now. We did get it here. I wonder if Bull can possibly catch up to this. Maybe not up to 100, but if it could have some similar upside performance. That sticker BULL Weeble.
They need a card or like a credit card or something. Because isn't that what Hood had offered at one point, was some kind of gold card?
The Robin Hood gold card, yeah.
I mean, because to me that means that they're looking at other, not just their trading brokerage, but other means of financing and generating revenue. Bull's not there yet. It could be though. It could be getting there, but not there yet. Way too much competition in the payment space. I do not disagree with that. I think and I think this kind of speaks to the buy now, pay later, discussion that we've had about how it could potentially be very bad, especially if people aren't able to. It's like more ways to accumulate debt, and with student loans, having to become due sooner than expected, or payments are resuming, that's going to weigh on households. I think debt is going to be a problem at some point in the future. And I know I've been saying that for a while. Take care, Richard. Good to have you with us, Judge.
Real quick here, Amanda saying SDTY is at value area low. If you think we sell off tomorrow, it might be a good look. I'm going to dollar cost average into this. So I had briefly mentioned this earlier. Amanda gave a great overview of one of these option trading strategies yesterday on Happy Hour. It looks like SDTY, one of your targets here today. Cool. Bull has a better ticker than Hood. That's all that matters. It does, though, for real. It does have a better ticker.
BBAI still making new session highs. 768 is a current high right now. CYN through the 65 EMA, almost completely back to start. Still has to get through the 200 EMA. IINN, this dropping now. Couldn't make new highs, really selling off too. And meanwhile, Tesla continues to grind higher. It does look like it is coming up to a resistance area. Starting to see some upper shadows here on this one. Which one's dead, Isaac? IINN? Student debt will get restructured or needs to be. If that's going to be something that he's going to tackle later on, I don't see it happening this year, to be honest. And I don't think I can really speak much more on that right now, because I would be getting into the speculation weeds, and I'm no speculation gardener.
Speculation gardener. Oh, that's good. Martin's asking, is it possible that Hood buys Bull? That also, I guess, would be speculation. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be easier for them to just put him out of business.
If they had some type of data or technology that they wanted, I could understand. I don't know if that's the case, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know why they would want to pick up what I guess my question would be, what does Webull have, or Webull, however you want to pronounce it? What do they have that Hood is lacking, that Hood wants to drive their business higher? I don't think they have anything, but that's just my limited knowledge on the matter.
Real quickly here, question on whether or not Mogo is reversing. It is coming off of 250, but I think we really want to see a cross above this 274 area. That's going to be your 15 EMA. 296 is the VWAP. That is going to be a big one. If we really want this to maybe go back and challenge those pre-market highs, VWAP cross with expanded volume is something that I think we're going to need. I don't know if we're going to get that. Webull has better charting than Hood.
Okay, so no, I haven't used,
emphatically says there's no way that Hood buys them.
No, I haven't used Hood in years. It was like one of the first platforms I started trading on, and I agree that the charting was god awful on Hood. Their options were pretty, Matrix is pretty good, but I don't think they had great charting. Now I don't know if that's changed. I don't know how much better it's gotten, but I don't think charting and trading platforms is something they couldn't develop. I mean, or refine. So like I said, I can't speak too much on that because I just don't have the information.
Okay. Rhett, this is interesting. Would rather see a bank buy Webull, such as Wells Fargo, since Wells Fargo doesn't have a trading platform. So, Rhett, I think you're thinking about the synergies there and how that can advance things. That makes sense to me. I don't know that that's going to happen, but your thesis there makes sense.
So
I would argue, that guy says, I could argue that Webull charting can compete with TradingView. Okay. Sure. I'll tell you, if you're saying that, I mean, TradingView is generally regarded as a great trading platform. So if you're getting, great charting, excuse me. So if you're getting great charting in your brokerage, that to me seems awesome. Not as clean, but very good. Okay.
So there's a mention here about if Webull, announces crypto, that they'll go. No, I think what you mean is if they announce that they're holding it for the purposes of being able to trade it, then that would make sense. But they're partnered with Backed Crypto Solutions, BAKKT, which I think is the one that DJT tried to merge with. And they also do have already plans to host crypto wallets and transfer crypto holdings off the platform. So that might be the news you're waiting to, or that you're referring to, when they announce that, they could potentially host and transfer crypto holdings on their platform. I could see that being a big driver. So maybe you're right about that.
By the way, Nike here. Where's Sal? Sal might have left a little early here if he was short in Nike. Huge pullback here. Great mention on the Nike sell-off, Brandon. This thing basically reversing everything that it gained on that headline of the deal being done with Vietnam. Here we go. Nike. Let me read this here for you. Sorry if my volume is changing here. The terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States 20% tariff on any and all goods sent into our territory and a 40% tariff on transshipping. So I guess Nike not liking that news here is Nike coming all the way back in.
Well, you know who's not liking it even more?
Lulu?
Oh, yeah. They hate it. Nike, I think, will be okay because we've had that discussion about how their inventory levels may help offset the tariff costs. I don't think it's going to be the same for Lulu, though. Now, Rhett, you can buy and sell crypto. My understanding is you can buy and sell crypto with Webull, but I don't know that you're necessarily holding the asset itself. I think you're holding it via trust. I would double check that, but that's like I said, I can't speak too much on it because I don't know how that whole structure works. I know Webull doesn't own any crypto, so if whatever you're buying and selling on there is not it's like representative of the asset, but not literally the asset itself. Same thing with Robinhood. That's also in trust. Tesla looking like it's trying to push higher here. Looking for 315.
You know what? I took my eye off of the unusual option scanner too after those headlines. Nike's bouncing here, so Smoke Tuna's call to buy the dip already is working, which I guess should surprise nobody.
I'm glad you like it, Martin. And yeah, however we want to pronounce it, I think you know what I'm talking about. DAIC, looking to continue to push through this consolidation in the pre-market, approaching the highs again. Still looking for 15. That was the level I was looking at before we had a little bit of pullback to VWAP there. 15.
The individual names pulled a little bit there. Market's right back on, though. Market is right back on. 618.80 something here. We're going for that 619 handle. Q's at the highs. SPY trying to go for the highs. Dow's trying to reverse here.
BBAI, 780, 20 cents away from our $8 target.
Tell you what, this was a good call. I actually feel like I missed this one. We've been talking on this one a lot. Izzy, I know you were on this one. This was a good one here today, BBAI. Good stuff as that continues to rip towards the highs.
All right, what else is going here? All right, we just printed, what is that, a new high, new session high in Tesla? We certainly did. Knocking on the door, 315 here.
Goldman Sachs at the highs.
CYN trying to find some support at 14. That's also about where the 200 SMA is on. I'm sorry, EMA is on the 5-minute.
Costco at the lows.
Really, what's Costco at right now?
978.
Oh man,
it's just day lows. It's down not even 1%.
And yeah, I ain't just to make it clear, I ain't really buying that that lawsuit stuff. I mean, sure, maybe it's going to create some downside in the short term, but you know, the Lululemon Costco lawsuit.
I laughed at it.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of that substance to that. I think Lululemon is just desperate.
The fun fact that I read yesterday, I think that was from XIII, about how Lulu tried to do that with another company in the past. Then they ended up working together. By the way, new highs here for the NASDAQ. S&P futures right at new highs as well.
Yes, Jay Rice, they went to 322.60 on that delivery news. You know, but that was a pretty substantial sell-off from 322.60 all the way down to you know, underneath where we're at right now. So just kind of waiting to see if we end up getting back up there. It's seemingly getting a little heavy at about 315.
And by the way, those delivery numbers, 384,122. The estimate was for 387. So they almost hit it right on the head, just like just shy of 3,000 vehicles. Wiss says Lulu needs to get their pants down from 128 to 60 before they start suing companies. Facts, Wiss. Look, I love the pants. They're great, but $128 a pair is a little steep. I just wait till they're on sale or use some type of gift card or something to. I'm not paying $130 a pair of pants. That's insane.
ET3, I don't disagree with that. My whole thing is that I think Lulu is just in a really hurt position. I think financially and in terms of sales, that suing Costco seems like a desperation move to me.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that the claim is frivolous. You know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not saying that. I just think that this is a sign of just how frazzled the management over at Lululemon is. That's my opinion, though. I think that this is that they're scared. 785 in BBAI, still grinding higher.
I got a win on BBAI.
Excellent.
There we go. Good to hear. DIAC is done, says Tuna.
Is it? Let's see here.
This came right back up to the VWAP, chopped around it, and then lost it in pretty short order.
Halted down to the VWAP now. Okay. Well, I mean, you know, it looks like we do have a bit of a double top here in the regular session, so that wouldn't be surprising if we do go lower here. VWAP is one of those last, you know, bastions of upside. So if we lose that, then the 65 EMA and the 200 EMA are going to be my next levels. There is some support that could potentially kick in at about 1050 as well, but to the point of this being done, I think that there is some more downside coming. Let's be careful. Let's, like I've been saying all morning, let's not carry it back into the holiday. I know that we've still got half a day left, but I think you get the point. You do not want to be filled with regret going to celebrate this country.
No, especially if you're lighting off fireworks, because then you're going to do angry firework lighting, and that's when mistakes happen. BBAI, by the way, on its way to 8. That was our next level that we talked about. Really went through at the 720 area, on its way to 8 here.
Yeah, and Martin, we get this question a lot, and I can't with any definitive confidence say that it is the next Palantir. I hear this a lot. I read about how it could be the next Palantir. Maybe it is, and if we believe that, take a like a lottery position. Buy a number of shares you're comfortable with, with the expectation that it is a Palantir, and just let it do its thing. Otherwise, if you really want to have a definitive answer, I cannot give you one. I'm sorry. By the way, did you see that fireworks factory explosion in Yolo County, California?
No. Really? Is everyone okay? I mean, I shouldn't laugh.
I don't know if there was any injuries or not. I certainly hope there aren't. It's definitely not a Beirut situation, but it was a pretty big explosion. Tesla now over 315.
Tesla's had a wild day here today, both on the long and short side. There was money to be made on both areas of that.
Zach mentioning LAES, Seals SQ. This is, they're saying quantum Bitcoin security news.
So fresh news here, LAES. Samel, good stuff on your trading here today. You were saying nobody was injured? No, they evacuated so that nobody was. That's good. Ordered evacuations, as I heard. Okay, well, that's good. At least nobody got hurt on that.
Okay, so then now we can start making jokes. Like, why couldn't they wait for 3 more days? So glad.
Oh, man, that's actually funny here. Here's your news on LAES. Seals quantum resistant technology tackles potential Bitcoin quantum vulnerabilities.
Now, I don't know that we're going to necessarily see some big moves on that, but looking at a daily chart for LAES, it does seem like $5 is in the cards for another test. It just seems that way. We're trending up in that direction. I can see that being a big resistance area that going all the way back to 2023. I think what we just need to do is just make sure it continues to hold the 20-day SMA, and we can see 5.
Producer here just outdoing himself. How's the firework business? It's booming. Love it, producer. I absolutely love it. LAES here. I'm not sure it's responding to that news here. I mean, maybe it did a little bit. I'm not sure how material that is. MOGO. This trying to curl doesn't have the volume strength that we want to see, though.
What do you think of the platform? Spoke tonight asking about Webull. It's worked for me. And when I find something that works, I tend to stick with it unless there's something else about it that makes me nervous about it. And the only other thing that I'm cautious about when it comes to this, and I've been looking at other platforms to move on to, is that it has China ties. But other than that, it's a pretty good platform. CV is open. Didn't even know it was closed. CapsoVision.
No, this was the IPO. This was the IPO that I think Wiss asked me about, but I didn't know anything about this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about this, unfortunately. This IPO today, huh? Okay.
Yeah, this IPO today.
Well, all right.
But yeah, don't have anything on that. CoreWeave. Okay, so CoreWeave still staying under 160. I actually thought that was going to be more movement there. Marvell, interesting calls there on Marvell.
So here's the thing about CoreWeave. We have been trying to hold above the 20-day SMA since it captured it on May 1st. Been doing really well with that. Hasn't actually touched it since June 26th. We just lost the VWAP. I'm sorry, we just lost the 20-day SMA yesterday. Now we're back testing it as resistance. If we cannot recapture it, I think we see lower. I think we see trading in the 140s. That's if we cannot recapture the 20-day SMA.
Okay. On this less than stellar day here today, actually, let's see if I've got it on this chart.
Oh, about tuna signal AI. I haven't used it, to be honest. I've just been going off what you've been saying here. Is if there's a way I can take a look at it. I don't even I'd be interested to see it and see how it works. Take care, Kevin. Have a great rest of your day. Seems like CoreWeave is consolidating. I mean, it looked like it was consolidating back in early to mid-June. Then we broke out of that consolidation and made new highs. Now it's coming back into that consolidation. So I don't necessarily believe that it's consolidating right now. I still think we're in a bit of a downtrend. We need to find some support. Support might not happen until the low 140s, like maybe 143. That seems like a decent support area. And even if we lose that, I don't think it. I mean, it will. Well, if we lose that, then I think we're going lower. But 143 seems to be the next good, solid support area. And if we do lose that, I think we'll see the 120s.
Real quick, here's what I was talking about on Ondas. This had a great chart formation, breaking above this trend line. But man, oh man, another minus 6% day here today. We're actually back testing this trend line. I'll be honest with you, folks. I really want this to hold here. I'm really tired of this stock going from 60 cents to $2 back to 60 cents. I want to see something constructive over the long term.
Jay Rice, you enjoy your vacation. You deserve it. Have a great time. Man. And we look forward to your return. Please take care of yourself, and thank you for everything you do here in the chat. Appreciate you.
So we're basically going to miss you all of next week. So have a great vacation, and we'll see you when you get back. 13. It's about that time to switch over to story trading here. So maybe you can say goodbye to everybody here. I won't ask you for dad advice today.
No problem. Well, hey folks. Another fun trading day. We've been identifying some pretty good movers. We found out that SPAC was a lot stronger than we thought, but it is coming back in. Let's make sure that we don't hold any bags going into the long weekend. I'll be back here tomorrow for a half day, and then it's firework time. Take care, everybody. I'll see you later. Enjoy story trading.
All right, good stuff, 13. Take care. We'll see you on the happy hour later. His departure leaves room for Ben and Rhett, and hopefully the Godfather. We'll see if he shows up here. Guys, how you doing here today?
Doing great. Finding the alpha every day.
That's what I like to hear.
Just surpassed. We reached for the first half of the year plus 310% year to date in the official trade account. So it's been awesome.
Okay, fantastic. That news on the Vietnam deal do anything for you here today?
It's pushing the market up, isn't it? Last I checked,
sure is.
Spiked.
Sure is. All right,
we'll take it.
All right, good stuff here. I'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Great. Let me just see. Yeah, man, I am like fully invested right now. I got some $80 Marvell calls that expire tomorrow. We banked on it last week. I left a few runners, but I'm trying to buy next week's. But yeah, I got to free up some capital from to buy that. Rhett, how you doing? I can't hear you.
Yep. Can you hear me now? I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
I
wish I just would have held those QQQ calls.
Oh, look at Air hitting our target, our swing target of 15 right now. It's closing the gap right there. I already sold 75% of the trade shares here today as it approached that gap. The gap is 1504 or 1494, 1498 now. And I loaded up on this, both short-term and long-term. I've not sold any long-term shares yet. We shared some significant news, hidden news with our community a few days ago, and it's been rocketing ever since. The call contracts were in. Let me check how much those call contracts are right now on Air. I might sell the remaining ones right at this gap fill, but it could explode higher. So I'm up 133%. Should be more. No, 133% on the calls. I'm out most of them. But the short interest here is crazy. It's 6.5 days to cover. About 5% of the sold short. The earnings are coming up, and it's going to be a doozy of an earnings report, guys. I'm telling you, at least the guidance is going to be. But yeah, this hit our target in just a couple of days. Hood and Apple, two big caps that in some options still swinging. Some options. I actually like the Apple chart better. I mean, Hood broke 100, right? And maybe it's back below 100. Yeah, let me just look at what Palantir did when it had that crazy run. I saw some people running some comparisons between Hood and Palantir when Hood exploded past 100. Let's see. Well, there was some volatility, but the first time it broke 100, it went to 125. So that's certainly a possibility. Although this is not highly shorted, last I checked, like Palantir was, based on my recollection. But I like the Apple chart better, right? If you look at the daily Apple chart, this is like sky blue. So we've been in this for a couple of days with a swing target of 214 to 222 based on the catalyst, or maybe it was yesterday, the catalyst that came from Bloomberg on them using Anthropic or OpenAI for their series. So it's been running on that. So any thoughts first on Hood and Apple there?
Yeah, Apple, I really like that chart too. I mean, it does look pretty clear that we want to definitely break above and keep moving to the upside there for Apple.
It looks like
especially while
in
the market's
sky blue
falling.
zone right here. You
Yeah, it
see it
does.
so clearly. You got the candle resistance, and then you got the 200 DMA. So the candle resistance at top of that, it's like 214 roughly. Is that what you have? 214?
Yep, right there. Same exact level.
I think you said 213, no, for your target?
It was 213 and some change.
Well, we already hit 213 and change.
Yeah, so it hit it and rejected. So the next time we should break
Okay.
through.
So-
The other one was Hood. With that one, I would say that's going to be a little more challenging. Yeah, you can compare it a little to Palantir, but at the same time, they're a little different from each other in some aspects. But
Yeah,
with
the short position. Even now, I think the short position is still much larger. Actually, no, I'm wrong. On both of them, the short position was only a day to cover. Let me see. 53 million. Not a big short position in Palantir. Let me check. I thought it was for some reason. Let me check Hood. Short position on Hood out of 882 million. Also, very, very small short position. So short squeeze is not really part of what's going on here. This is just people want the stocks. Hood or Palantir. They just want to own it.
especially with the other day with what Hood announced with the blockchain and all that. I mean, they're really changing the game, I would say. And the other thing is, too, the sentiment is huge for those two names. So there is a lot of retail and even the institutions behind them as well.
Hood is one of my largest positions in my retirement account. I might have sold a little bit. I think last week I was just kind of rebalancing and finding cash for other stuff, but held so far have held the majority of my position. I told you about Air. What a beautiful play, beautiful swing, 130% profit on call options today. I got to draw your attention to IINN. And by the way, Godfather is backstage. Ryan, if you're listening, if you can bring Godfather on, he's waiting to come on. So while Ryan figures that out, IINN. Look, we've heard about this company. Good morning there, Godfather.
Hey, good morning.
You know what? I just realized without you here, I just totally skipped any macro discussion and went right into stocks. I'm like,
okay.
So, yeah.
There's one really important thing on macro that everybody needs to focus on. If I may.
Yeah.
We saw obviously the ADP numbers come in at a negative for the first time in 2 years. ADP numbers are notoriously not necessarily a good read through to the non-farm payrolls, which of course is the big number tomorrow morning. But to the extent that there is weakness, less than that 178,000 job ads that is consensus for tomorrow, you could see some furtherance of this, rate cut narrative enter into the market. We saw it yesterday with Powell basically saying, no, I'm not going to take July potential rate cut off the table. You saw Goldman go to 25% cuts. Or
why is TLT down?
So I don't know exactly. There's some noise here, right? Because we also saw the JOLTS numbers the day before, and they conflicted with this data. So how much is in the market, how much isn't? I'm not a big fan of TLT. I'm looking at some of the other interest rate sensitive things. Like look at DPST, for example. Pull up a 2-day chart of DPST. Okay, so this is the 3x.
Regional banks times 3. Cool.
Yeah, this is the 3x regional banks. And so, to the extent you get more rate cuts, it steepens the yield curve, and it's great for banking. It's going to be good for small cap stocks. So you're going to see IWM rip on this because KRE is some 20% of IWM. So I'm looking at this closely. I'm positioned in DPST. I'm also positioned in NAIL. because rates go down, benchmarks to mortgage rates, and extremely beaten up. And this 60 level, look at 60 level on nail here. If we get a concerted breakup over this, someone in chat just mentioned FAS or FAS and FAZ, also good ETFs for playing the financials. BNKU is a new one, small cap one that I also keep on my radar screen. So look, I know we're a lot focused on the AI trade and the second derivatives there, the data centers, and waiting for Kursk and what's that going to do to REM and CIFR, and no question about it, AI is still the biggest theme in this market. But to the extent that this narrative really comes in tomorrow, if we get any weakness at all in the non-farm number, you could see names like this really rocket to the upside. And of course, that takes into
we have more data tomorrow. I just wanted to go on vacation.
FinTech, you guys. This is, you got to put OppFi back on your radar screen again for the second half of the year. And the Roots of the world, and the Daves of the world, and so on.
Tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. non-farm employment and unemployment data. Oh, damn! I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be at Niagara Falls tomorrow morning, guys. But anyway, look, let's overall, I think you're probably still bullish, right?
Oh, extremely bullish. Look, the second half of the year, we're going to see if we get rate cuts. That's just gas to the fire, because
beautiful.
I think you're going to see less geopolitical issues. I think you're going to see, to the extent we get the big beautiful bill passed, and it looks like it's creeping towards that. To the extent that we get deregulation, the other thing, of course, that we're waiting for that's also positive for the banks, and I think this is another reason why DPST is really running here, and should or could run further, is Besant talked a lot about the supplementary leverage ratio, and the fact that in the second half of this year they are going to relax that, and that means that these banks can lend more. So not only do they make more on net interest margin, but their capacity to lend based on what they have in terms of capital on the balance sheet also goes up. So everyone should own a little bit of leverage to some financials for the second half of the year. In my opinion.
Cool way of playing that. Yeah, I've been burned with TLT before. This is definitely a better way. It looks like playing lower interest rates. Good job. All right, let's get back to these individual stocks. I do want to mention Mogo. I saw the folks there, Ryan, on the previous show talking about Mogo. We alerted this. I alerted this at 192. I got in at $1.92. I gave a 270 price target, and I sold it at 265. Left a lot on the table, but I do want to mention, how the heck did I get into that so quickly? It's thanks to Benzinga Pro. I got a Benzinga Pro subscription, and I do have a coupon code here somewhere. If you guys want to get Benzinga Pro, here it is. You can get 55% off the annual plan. It's Story Trading 55. So Story Trading 55. I know there's a few people in our community who use Benzinga Pro. We can use as many, the more eyeballs we have on the newsfeed, the better, because there's, it's like a fire hose coming through there, and a lot of times they'll miss things. So,
boy, do we have some great people in our Discord that monitor all of these news feeds.
Yeah,
tremendous alerts from the likes of Colex and Ross and it's amazing.
Check that out. It's the closest you're going to get to a Bloomberg terminal. There's lots and other features too. I just use the newsfeed, but there's a ton of other things. So for this price, it can't be beat. 55% off the annual plan. I think you just go to pro.benzinga, figure out, just Google search Benzinga Pro or whatever, and that code is Story Trading 55. All right. I gotta mention. Well, first of all, just a shout out to Bull here, tagging the 50 DMA. I'm not currently in it. I played this move to the 200 DMA, noted the possible move to the 50 DMA. I think it's moving on hood sympathy. I'm currently not in it. Monitoring it. Look, I love the Webull app. And if they have like growth in their fundamental metrics, next quarter or something, then I might get in. I have to be honest though, there's technicals too. If it breaks the 50, you might go to 14.25, but no position currently on Bull. Look, I got to mention this IINN. All right. I'm still waiting for the Godfather in us to do some research on this one. But this is a name that Rick in our community put on our radar a couple quarters ago. So I was, moderately familiar with the technology, some sort of inhaler, Israeli company, medical device. I forgot the details, but then look at this: $22.5 million purchase order, binding purchase order to be paid in 2025 over the next 6 months. 22 million purchase order with a market cap of 25 million. And I don't need to I don't need to take the company's word for it when they use the phrase inflection catalyst or something, or inflection point in the company. That's always what I look for, inflection points, and they use that same terminology themselves. I mean, if this was ever an inflection point, this is it. I'm actually in at an average price of 101 because I got in at 95 cents and I was averaging up with a contract size that large, 22 million versus 25 million market cap. I would not be surprised to see the stock up 60% today. It's up 24% now. Caveat being, I haven't done the research on the cap structure. Are there any overhangs or anything like that? There was someone else in our community who looked at it this morning, did a little grok research, and gave me mostly a clean slate as far as the cap structure goes. But
looks like they were just in the market here, raising 7 million at 85 cents. So you could see some profit taking from those 85-cent guys because that just got qualified for sale. From what I can see, I'm just looking at this now. I haven't had a chance to go through, but I'm on the SEC database. Right. So if you see big offerings, it could come off of that.
Okay, and we're over the 200th EMA. So yeah, you might want to look at this more. The Godfather knows. Like, I don't know. For me, I know you're much more into the fundamentals. I'm much more into like inflection points, right? And to me, it's an obvious inflection point. 22 million binding contract on.
Certainly looks like a big contract size relative to the market cap.
I mean, huge. How often do you see something like this?
Right. I'd love to see what the actual cap structure looks like and the current run rate of revenue. It sounds like this is a new FDA-approved product, so this is sort of the beginning of a revenue stream, right?
Yeah, it's the beginning. They have no revenue in the prior earnings report, so
I'll have a dig in.
So we'll find out, and I'm sure if you're in their Discord, you'll get the goods from the Godfather later on that. Sinez Tech.
Did you guys talk AEHR already?
Yeah, I did. Did you want to add anything to it?
Just quickly. So they report earnings on Tuesday.
Did they already announce the date?
Yeah, it's on Tuesday.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the 8th. So look, the last time they spoke publicly was at this broker presentation that the link was shared in our Discord. But a lot of guys went through it, as did I. My big takeaway here was that look, they're starting to get traction on their way for burn in and test for AI applications, which is SiC and gallium nitrate, and flash memory is also big, but AI is huge. So everyone's waiting for that in the influx of orders that will come from that, from their most recent acquisition for the company that positions them there. And of course, Money Mark and others have focused on the fact that their presentation slide includes names like NVIDIA and TSMC for the first time, and so on. So,
but the NVIDIA that was from their purchase of Incal. It was not an organic thing that adding NVIDIA on that slide.
So, but look, these guys hold most of the patents in wafer burn-in and test at scale for big throughput, and the promise has always been there. It's not an inexpensive stock by any means, and I will say that the CFO hedged by saying, we're not sure if we're actually going to give guidance or not, because remember
that was a CEO. That was a CEO.
Was it the CEO? Okay. I know it was in the Q&A.
Pretty sure it was a CEO
near the end, and both CEO and CFO were on. But anyway, so look, if the numbers, like, I'm not sure that this quarter that they're going to report is going to be anything great, and if they don't give guidance, then the stock could sell off. But if they do give guidance, there's 24% of the stock that's that's short, right? So you're starting to see that. So I think you want to own a little bit, but just to be there, but
my plan was this. My plan was to sell my short-term trading shares at the gap fill, which is 15. Yeah. And then I was hoping for a pullback. I thought the earnings would be another week out. It's a Tuesday, so that
you still have a few more days here then to sell into the anticipation rally, if you will, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize it's so close.
So de-risk yourself, because you can often get selling the news things, and I mean, I don't know.
De-risk. You see, it's a perfect gap fill of 15 right here. So
we don't know if they're going to announce guidance or not. So it was a function of what are the tariff impacts and so on, which they
and I'm always happy to add back higher after the report. I have no qualms about that. So even if they add it like 17 after the report, I'll do it, because this thing, if they have good guidance, which I think they will, but we'll see, it can easily go into the 20s.
Look at Nail. Look what Nail just did here, you guys. Gotta have this on your radar screen for non-farm tomorrow.
Nice. Good job on Nail. Wow. Beautiful. Well, look at that. Now we're going to precise gap fill. I think it's 1509 was the precise number, or was it 1504? 1504. 1504 right there. Oh my gosh, 1504. I wish I kept for that exact number. I already sold 75% in the 1480s, but okay, whatever. I got a big common long-term position.
Another one I think people should keep on the radar right now is going to be BBAI.
Yeah, you told me about that yesterday, and it just exploded today. This one is not
unusual options on this name. It's also in the AI plays as well. So keep that one on your radar.
Low quality company, guys. Low quality company, shitty capital structure. But I secretly I've been scalping this thing myself. So, but I hesitate to mention it because I don't have a great deal of faith, in this as a long-term hold. So it's a trading stock, not an investing stock.
Yeah. Right. That's also been my perception about it, that it's a low quality company. But the last earnings report, if I remember, it seemed pretty decent. And Rhett, I think you mentioned on social media there was a recent purchase by, was it Goldman Sachs?
Goldman Sachs, yeah. Goldman Sachs increased their stake.
So I don't know. Maybe there's something improving there.
It hit some resistance on the daily chart and pulled back. So what was that?
I was just saying there's also a high short position there, which is which accentuates the moves in the name. It's a great trading.
Short interest has been growing. Holy smokes!
But look, there's a lot of legacy cheap stock.
Look at that! A lot of comments on BBI, and oh my gosh, everyone's in the BBI. I just heard an article about BBI being the next Palantir. Someone says BBI has been called while below 4. Yeah, I know BBI. There's been a lot of people. Look, in this market, everyone thinks they're a genius, and you might be for a while, but I think it's very important to focus on the higher quality companies, because when the shit hits the fan, the lower quality companies are going to crash, and then you won't look like such a big genius. But right now you can throw dart and make money. The key is keeping that money and keeping your profits. And the big correction will come, and the folks who don't know how to manage their money, they're going to be over leveraged. They'll be in the wrong stocks, and they'll be wiped out. And our community will be doing just fine, like we did in the COVID, the tariff crash. We navigated that really well. We preserved everyone's capital who listened to us, and we're able to come out on the other side of it now, up 300% year to date. So right now, making money, really easy. You can throw dart. Everyone thinks they're a genius, but it's not as easy as it sounds once the volatility hits, which it will. All right. Let me quickly. Oh wow, this air is beautiful. Let me quickly mention SenesTech, because impressive. This is pretty impressive, I got to tell you. I expected a little bit worse. So yes, obviously, look, if you're not familiar with the story, this is an inflection point, just like I think IINN is an inflection point. SenesTech, this is the rodent control through fertility, stopping mice and rats from getting pregnant. So this seems to have inflected because they've been doing pilot studies in a lot of major cities, and several of the cities have now said the pilot program has passed, and they're now continuing to full scale production or full scale deployment. So Baltimore is that first one. They said full scale deployment. Then Hong Kong, San Francisco, and Irvine University also said the pilots have passed, and they're expanding. Those cities didn't use the word full-scale deployment, but effectively that's what it is. And there was a huge shipment, maybe today, I don't know, imminently, yesterday, today, whatever, a huge shipment being shipped in a container to Hong Kong worth at least $300,000. So fundamentally, I think the inflection point is here. But that still means, they still have to reach they break even in profitability. So there's another financial inflection point. I'm basically anticipating that financial inflection point will happen based on the product acceptance inflection point. So yesterday, though, they had warrants that have been in the money at 290. And I guess the warrant holders didn't want to convert. It was pretty clear that they were previously shorting at 290. You can see this massive resistance here at 290. And then the Baltimore news came on June 13th, and it was pretty clear the warrant holders stopped shorting. And I guess they couldn't get them to convert, right? They need money. So they had to induce them to convert. They said, all right, if you exercise these warrants at 290, we'll give you new warrants at 415, I think it was, but you'll have to pay for those at 12.5 cents. So effectively $4.27. And that's what they did. That's the transaction they did. So they raised 1.5 million shares at 290, which is like a little over $4 million worth. And then they gave them these new shares at 415, which is like 420. It's like they did two raises, right? They did one at 290 and another raise at 427. I and some other people were kind of upset that they had to induce that. I mean, like, stock's doing great. Like, can't you wait it out and wait till they? But I guess they couldn't wait it out and they had to do this. So I thought maybe this would sell off more. It was pretty resilient yesterday and taken off today. So that's some good news there on SenesTech. Either of you have any comments on that?
Oh, Mike was muted. Yeah, a lot of great things happening, and the momentum's starting to roll. And the good thing is about this company is they're trying to tackle a multi-billion-dollar industry problem where rats are destroying everything, and their product that they created has 100% results, as you guys can see with the consumption and everything that they PR'd a few weeks ago. So a lot of good things rolling for them.
All right, cool. Let's see what else. I spoke enough with the last few minutes. I'll give it to you, Godfather, if you want to point out any additional stocks we haven't pointed out here yet.
Yeah, one of the names that's been really weak here of late, and I say of late, like just in the last couple of sessions, and it makes some sense because it came off of a big run as OUST. We've highlighted this before. This is a LiDAR company, but these guys focus not just on EVs, right? It's on robotics and smart infrastructure and industry and so on. And people need to understand what the macro trends are here for AI and how it impacts the world. There was some stuff that made it on our Discord and came out headline-wise on Amazon just the other day, saying that 75% of all Amazon deliveries are at some point through the chain touched by robots. Also talking about flipping to having more robots than humans working in their warehouses. So, look, it's their technology that provides the bridge between the physical world and AI. So, these are the eyes of the robots, if you will, right? And it's not just the hardware. What they're providing, and they've proven themselves to be a leader here, is they are like NVIDIA is in terms of a combined hardware/software solution. And this is what's really important. So, you're seeing adoption of their technology by, some of the largest makers of autonomous mining equipment, for example. They're all over industrial warehouses. They're all over smart cameras that track, traffic management and license plate reading and, all that kind of stuff. So, and look, this big ramp that happened in the stock here from sort of the 12-15 came as a function of two things. One, their most recently reported earnings, where they went up 26%, but they are the very first 3D LiDAR approved by the DoD. So, a single application could, absolutely dwarf the existing run rate of this company. So, you're talking about a company that's doing, 35 million a quarter right now. And their systems are already deployed by the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, by NASA, the Transport Department, you name it. So they are, front and center on this whole next-gen defense thing. Anduril is probably the hottest name in that group. But again, anything that's
which I own in size, by the way. I bought it in the private markets.
Yeah, so you're well ahead of the curve there.
I'm hoping I make 5 to 10 times on that. If anyone's interested, I can't solicit publicly as a private thing. You got to be an accredited investor. But if you're part of the Discord, you join the Discord, I can hook you up with people selling that in the private markets.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see, a deal where, Anduril wins a massive contract, or KTOS wins a massive contract with the DoD, and it incorporates their LiDAR, because they have the only 3D, LiDAR that's approved, that's got Blue UAS status. So to the extent that there's anything autonomous that requires these sensors, for a defense application, it will be OUST's technology. So
all right,
that on your
listen,
radar.
I know there's probably a lot of other stuff you want to talk about, especially cores and the sympathy plays in Cypher. But first, let me see if we have time. We'll come back. I just want to mention it's our 1-year anniversary, right? Since we opened the Discord, and it's been incredible. We're like growing at record speed. We've had over 24, closing in on 36 new subscribers into our Discord just in the past 7 days. We've really hit an inflection point here. Our Discord, as I said, the official numbers in my trade account up over 300% year to date. I would love for you guys to join our Discord and then join Benzinga Pro and become like a really active part of our community. So we got 2 discount codes for you. Rhett, what's the discount code for the 1-year anniversary? Do we have any left on that?
So, yeah, so I can open up a few more. We only have 1 left though, so it's going to be 1 year.
So 1 year. The code is 1 year.
Yeah, the code is 1 year, and that's going to be 20% off recurring. And I believe the Benzinga code is the BZ show, and that's 30% off for the first month, I believe.
Okay, but that's for joining story trading. So just give them 1 code instead of confusing. Let's focus on the 1 year. So the code is ONE year.
Yep.
Go to storytrading.com, use the code 1 year, spell out the word 1. And then after that, you go to Benzinga Pro and you use code StoryTrading55 on the annual plan. And then you can participate with us and collaborate on the newsfeed, that fire hose of the newsfeed, so we can curate and find the best things, not only early in the morning, but throughout the day, in the afternoon, and the evenings. So did you guys finish the free Discord giveaway already? No, I think you're awarding that on Friday, right?
Yeah, it's going to go out on Friday. I'm going to run it through.
Right, so if you go to our social media, you'll see a way to enter to get possibly giving a free Discord to somebody, free subscription, plus $100 cash. All right, and we got a minute or 2 left. Why don't we talk about, cores? You made our community so much money in this, The Godfather, and there's some sympathy plays in it. Final words to close out this show.
Yeah, look, everybody's waiting for CoreWeave to take out cores. If you look at the Bitcoin miners that have all this power and all this data center infrastructure, and who's leading the trend to converting that to high performance compute, clearly Core Scientific is number 1. They have this deal with CoreWeave that makes it a unique situation. CoreWeave will buy them. I believe that the sparks and smoke will be fire. That Wall Street Journal reporter has a 91% track record. I think it was purposely leaked. I think we probably see it Monday after the long weekend. Money will flow then to the rest of the group. And you need to understand that these things are not all created equal. Every single Bitcoin company is going to go out and say that, we're converting to HPC and we got these data centers, we got these power contracts, but it doesn't work that way. You have to build them. You have to have the geographic location. You have to have the access to water for cooling, all these kinds of things. So there are clear tier 1 players and clear tier 2 players. Come to our Discord. We've broken it all down. We're going to tell you where the money flows to right after cores gets taken out. Awesome. We can rank them 1, 2, 3, 4.
Beautiful. Sounds great.
All right. Awesome breakdown. Really good timing there. How'd it go, guys?
Awesome. We're doing great. We're killing it. Our community is killing it. We're all becoming Benzinga Pro members too. This is just beautiful.
I absolutely love to hear it. And perhaps the best thing is we have a 4-day weekend coming up. You guys got any big plans for 4th of July?
I'm driving right now. I got to leave. I'm driving to Canada. I'm going to Niagara Falls and then Toronto for the next 4 days.
Okay. Sounds good. Make sure
Great.
when we come back here next week, make sure you guys come back with all your fingers. Good stuff here today. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you next time. Good stuff from the trading story trading folks. Sorry, had to get it out there. All right, folks, we're gonna send you over to Futures Fever with Kevin next. Don't go anywhere. I'll send you there right now. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.